This is Infection, the survival podcast, recorded live on Tuesday, September 19th, 2017, episode 140. See, I was not going to screw up the intro this week. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Infection, I almost just said H1Z1 podcast, the survival podcast. My name is Nick Craig. At Nicholas M. Craig is my Twitter. Infection is your source for the latest information on survival video games. We bring you the latest news, reviews, updates, and more each and every week. Our website is infectionpodcast.com. Joining me as he does each and every week, the real star of the show, Brian Aldridge. Hey, Brian.
Yeah, everybody. If you want to find me at Boise Computer on Twitter, or you're more than welcome to go check out my blog, biteoftech.com. Of course, go to our website, infectionpodcast.com. We have our links to our Discord group. We have our Steam group, which gives notifications before the show starts live. Also, you can go find us on your different podcast apps. So on the right-hand side, there's a whole list, tune in, and a lot of different places that we are listed. And we should be on pretty much every podcast app that is out there. So if you're looking to catch us on the road, maybe you're not able to get to the YouTube that week, just download it on an app, but it's really quick and easy. So also, if I don't know if there's any people who play, this is self-promotion since this is my minute. I don't know if there's any people who play
hold
Vainglory.
on, I'm sorry.
I've been playing a lot of Vainglory the last couple of weeks. So yeah, if anybody plays Vainglory, they should hit me up.
It's like a Tinder date.
Yeah,
it's like a Tinder profile. Yeah, you play a lot.
Hey, it's a tablet MOBA.
I'm a gamer,
but it's pretty fun. Yeah, and it's the only game I can get Laura to play consistently.
Well, there you go.
So because it's I don't know, a lot of people aren't into MOBAs, but it's pretty fun for a tablet. I'm not into MOBAs on PC, but I'll play it on a tablet. It's relaxed enough. It's casual. You can't hear people screaming into mics and things like that.
Do you have anything else?
So, anyways, that's it.
That's your minute. Oh, okay. Hold on. Let me get rid of the breaking news.
That's all I got.
Okay. Well, geez, that's not what I wanted. There we go. Yes. Welcome back. We're back on a Tuesday live, as we are most of the time. Every Tuesday.
Did you get all your shortcuts fixed? Like, did things change correctly? Remember last week?
Yeah, I mean everything's looking hot right now. I mean, I don't have not getting any weird pop-ups or anything, so I think we're good to go. Brian, you cheated on me.
Yes. Sorry.
Let's go ahead.
So I did.
Back to the Brian.
I actually did. Well, it was about it. I went and did a local podcast, and it was so I went to their studio and did a recording, but it was about our podcast. So
semi.
So I mean, it wasn't really, yeah. So it was pretty much, it was an interview talking about, how do we get into the podcast and just asking questions about our podcast. So it's Rocky Mountain Slackers, and it's about a 40-minute interview.
Yeah. It's about, I think 45. Yeah. 39:33, 40 minutes according to.
Okay, so a 40-minute interview. We'll have a link in the show notes so you can check that out. Or they are on iTunes, so they should be in the different apps.
Mm-hmm.
This is episode 2, so I think my interview is towards the end of it. In our show notes, we have a link directly to just the interview itself. But if you go to episode 2, search in your podcast app for Rocky Mountain Slackers, and this is a local podcast, and they talk a lot about nerd culture and just a lot of very nerdy stuff like D&D and just everything else.
Yes, nerdy stuff. What I'd recommend,
so if you're into that kind of stuff, it's definitely something to check out. Give them a listen and leave a review. They are new, so
yes,
if you do like what they have, I would encourage you to go onto their iTunes and leave it a review for them so that other people can find it as well.
And what I'd recommend is if you classify yourself as a super fan of Infection Podcast, you get some behind the scenes. If you don't, there's some behind the scenes. There's some stories.
Stuff we usually don't talk about during the show itself, because we were able to tell some behind the scenes stories and just kind of talking about how we got started.
Yeah.
Which we don't really do. Sometimes once in a while in our after show or our pre-show, Nick and I will kind of talk about things. But during the show, we don't really talk about it.
We are quickly approaching.
This is kind of like this is kind of an extended after show is what it was.
Under a different name. different people, and I wasn't
different
there.
different people.
I was fine though. Brian's the host, so it's okay. We are quickly approaching episode 200, Brian, where we can rehash all of our very near. We need to go through our emails.
We keep saying that. We were talking about doing that for episode 100.
We did do something really cool for 100. I spent like four or five like full days putting that stupid compilation video together, going through old hard drives. What a waste of time.
Yeah.
I mean, it was good, but it was a lot of work. So yeah, the history of the H1Z1 podcast that turned into the Survival podcast. So cool. If you want to check out, you told some stuff on there, Brian, that it was just like, God, I cannot believe that a professional company would do something like that. So it was, yeah, it was just a very interesting interview. So you can check that out. Links in the show notes. Brian, I think, tweeted out under our Infection account too. So if you just go to our Twitter @InfectionTask.
Yes, and that's a link directly to the SoundCloud for it.
Very cool. So
and what we can do is we'll tweet it out maybe tomorrow morning. We can tweet it out again.
Yeah.
Now that people know about it, we'll send out another tweet. We don't want people to think we're spamming them and send it right now, because people seem to not like more than one notification per day ever. Yes. So we'll go and we'll tweet it out tomorrow morning, and then that way people that are hearing this right now just can go to our Twitter, and there should be a link right to the interview.
Yes, check it out. You did a very good job, Brian. It was a very good interview. You were very humble.
Thank you.
I appreciate your kind words. It was a good show. So
it wasn't an hour of bashing Nick.
No,
that guy holds me back.
He holds me back. Yeah, I wish you would have dropped. You totally should have played like this guy just shows up and does whatever. You totally should have played that. It would have been hilarious. Would have been absolutely hilarious.
He would have been like, "What?"
I would have been like, "Oh, it's so inside."
No, I'm saying that the guy interviewing me would have been like, "What the world? That's not what I gather." Like
you'd be.
I act like I'm giving him like this big scoop of just all the
it'd
gossip.
be like the radio hosts that like they always hate each other. Yeah, you have to when you work with somebody every day. Opie and Anthony hated each other. Mike and the Mad Dog hated each other. Every big two radio combos hate each other.
Well, we just make sure we don't talk too much.
We talked a little bit today.
Like
it was a little bit.
We did talk today.
It was a little bit uncomfortable. Yeah. Like we were talking about stuff, and I was like, okay, no more. Like I gotta go eat dinner because I can't talk to you anymore.
Thanks.
I'm
already gonna have to talk to you for like 2 hours.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of laughable experiences, Conan Exiles, Brian. We played that.
Oh yeah,
we played that Friday.
Joe, you and I.
Nobody showed up, which was fine actually, because I like that we didn't have to like wrangle a big group of people together. So we just played. What did we play for? Maybe an hour and a half, maybe going on 2 hours. We played for a decent time. I'll tell you, the game is still not great. There's a whole bunch of bugs. The fantastic thing about Conan Exiles, and Ark, if you're listening, because you are still developing your game even though it's released, you need to have scaling. You need to be able to climb rocks like you can in Conan. It is the coolest freaking feature, almost one of the coolest things I've ever seen done in a video game. Because it's dynamic. Yeah. You can climb you can scale any wall. You can save yourself from any fall. It's so flippin' cool.
Ark. Yeah, they did a really good job of that. Yeah. And I know with Ark, so with this new map, that's the Aberration that's coming out for Ark, there's no flying, but that they do have those dinosaurs that glide that can actually kind of crawl up walls and things like that. So the technology should be there, and the surfaces should be there to where they could do it if they wanted to. I don't know if there's a reason that they're maybe worried about people going places they're not supposed to or something. Since there is no flying, people may go to places that they didn't intend people to go to if they're able to just crawl up any wall. But that's the crazy thing in Conan, you can pretty much scale anything.
Yeah, it's awesome.
If it's a surface, even just a big rock, like you just crawl up and you're on top of a big rock to get away from a monster.
Yes, which is cool. Now, the game, clearly people aren't playing the game. It's not a surprise. You just go look at the players. I'm not giving you any news that isn't readily available. The interesting thing that first of all, I've always liked Conan, the game. We had it early. We've had Jens Erik on the show twice. We interviewed him at PAX. They were very gracious at PAX. It was a great experience to work with them after our experiences with other development companies. They're very receptive. They're very open. And I think that the game is actually really good. There's a couple of problems. And the first one, and we've talked about this before too. And I don't want this to come off like I'm bashing the game, because I'm not. And when I said it was a laughable experience, it's because nobody showed up. And it was like, hey, look at everybody on my Steam list owns this game. And nobody wants to play it.
And nobody came except for Joe.
Yeah,
Thanks, Joe.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate you, Joe. We appreciate you, Unicorn Joe. So that's.
I have one thing I want to say.
Yes, go ahead.
On our Ark server. There, so the thing with unicorns in Ragnarok is you can only have one per server.
Falcon.
So Falcon went and got the unicorn, and I felt bad for Joe. So I changed the server setting to where I changed the server setting to where you now can have more than one unicorn, and it actually spawns a unicorn into the world every hour.
Oh, that's good.
So eventually you'll just
everybody will have
hundreds of unicorns running around the server.
That'll be fantastic.
For Joe will be in heaven.
Yeah, that'll be good. So yes, thanks Joe for showing up. But so this is my thing with Conan. It's been the same thing for a while. If you played Ark for any extensive period of time, you feel I think the word I'm looking for is worn out when you play Conan, because it feels so similar, and you're punching the trees to get the wood right off.
And we just got out of playing for weeks.
Yeah. It's taxing. I think is what it is, because and again, there's really no way around it. It's a similar mechanic. Now, and this is I think the problem that we run into, Brian. We've only really ever gotten to early game stuff because we're not dedicated to, we don't, at this point in time, because you cover so many different games, and this is our Friday night game night, we don't really have the chance to go from beginning of the game to end game. It's just not what our group does. Everybody's playing different games. We hop on and off games every couple of weeks. So I think the biggest, maybe this is what this is. Maybe it's a barrier to entry with Conan, is that if you've played Ark, you feel like you're just playing Ark again. And I don't really know what the solution is.
And you don't really get, the thing is, you don't really get to the end game stuff that's different. Like, they have stuff that's different later on in Conan. They have those dungeons and the bosses and the big guys that'll come in and destroy. You can use them to destroy other people's bases. And so that's kind of the issue, is we don't play in our Friday night game night far enough to get past the Ark field. We'd have to just keep playing. And the thing is, since we can't host our own server on it, because I don't think it allows it, and we would have to privately rent one through one of the server companies, we never get it to the point to where it goes that far.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
overall, the game, the game, when we played it the first time, the game wasn't really buggy. The game had some bugs, but most of the issues with the game early on, and we talked about this last week, were that ping perfect, that server host that totally dropped the ball.
Yeah.
That was a majority of the problems in Conan. We were playing on somebody's private server, because the official server, the ping was too high for Joe on the official servers. So we hopped over to just some guy's
so we had
private
to find
server.
one with no ping limitation.
And there was nobody on it. We played for 2 hours and the server shut off. So maybe he forgot to pay his bill, or decided he didn't want to continue his server. But nevertheless, the game wasn't broken. It was just too familiar from playing Ark, I think, to really get into it. I had fun. I mean, it was fun to play for an hour and a half. We killed some different creatures. It was fun.
We started building a base.
Yep.
I mean, we
do have a base.
lot of the stuff going.
Yeah, we have a base with a couple doors. So that was cool. That was fun.
Smelting, and when we had a lot of the stuff started, but that's just the beginning groundwork of it, And if we would have played for a couple more days, played a little more the next day and the day after that, we would have started seeing some of those new things.
Yeah. So
we didn't get there.
I would say, once if we had have played for a week, we would have, or maybe a weekend, maybe more than a few days, I think we would have gotten past that hurdle, that barrier to entry, and probably would have had a really good time. But unfortunately, our Friday night game night is our Friday night game night. That's what we do on Friday nights. So overall, it was fun. Now, I would say this. I had a couple people ask me, I think Falcon asked me, and maybe Lance did too, should I buy this? And I think, I'm not going to speak for you, Brian, but I would say at this point in time, it's probably not worth the buy. And the reason I say that is because it's not a very good single-player game. In my opinion, maybe if that's your play style, you kind of need to play this with, similarly with Ark, it's fun to play with a group of people. It's fun to play with a group of 4 or 5 or 6. So unless you have that group, it's probably not worth $40 at this time. If you have that group, yes, absolutely, I think it's worth it, because it's a good game. It's got far superior building to Ark. It's got curved walls, and it's just a much better. You can build a circular base with towers.
You're putting
and
a lot
stuff.
more decoration things in there.
Absolutely.
And Ark is pretty much like what you see with this next expansion. I mean, that's pretty much what Ark is. So, if you're hoping that there's a chance with Conan that it might get even more things that are different from Ark, because they starting to add now beyond that. I think Ark was so popular, they probably had a lot of things from that. They're like, oh, this works. But I think everything you see after, they'll start putting different things than Ark. So it'll be interesting to see, because they put like lore. I'm really hoping they start to put lore into it and start telling the story of Conan in the world, because that's a lot of what Conan is. It has an actual story. It has an actual background, a lot of story of history of places and people that they can tell. So I'm hoping that for them, they're just getting a lot of the kind of the base concept of the game laid out, and then they're going to go in and start telling a story as well. So we'll see.
Yeah, I would kind of push for, at this point, they need to put an earlier fork in the road to kind of deter from the Ark feel. And Node 40 in the chat brings up a good point. He says familiarity doesn't stop people from jumping from battle royale game to battle royale game. That's different. That you are playing the same game over and over again. You don't have to invest
so much.
Exactly. The issue with Conan and Ark is, with both of the games, they both have this problem. You have to put in a significant amount of time to get started. Now, if you don't have any interest in putting in that time, those games are not for you. But to just play it casually,
because when you come back, all your stuff will be gone.
Yes.
Unless you're playing local. But the thing is if you're playing on a public server, you don't play part-time on Ark on a public server, on an official server. You don't play part-time on Conan, because when you come back, you'll have nothing. And you may have your levels, but you won't have all of the like in Ark, the dinosaurs, and you won't have all your stuff. It'll probably be all destroyed.
Yeah, exactly. Like, for example, we're playing Ark right now, and if I don't play for 3 days, I'll come back and all my stuff will be dead, most likely. So it's this is going to sound really stupid, and if somebody's listening to this that is not, for example, our good friend Amnon that is listening to this right now, if you're not playing this if you don't play these games like full-time jobs or part-time jobs, you might as well not be playing. I mean, unless you are going to invest some serious time into a game like Ark or Conan, and you know this if you've played these games, it is not worth your time, because in the past 2 weeks, and by the past 2 weeks, this is probably the past 4 days, I've logged 20 hours worth of time on Ark, and I haven't even scratched the surface of what I'm doing. So that's the thing: 20 hours in 4 days, and that's not even close to enough. I should have 40 hours in the past 4 days. They're very time sensitive games, and you can't just, unless you're playing single player. 7 Days to Die's got the same problem. You can't just not play 7 Days to Die for like 3 days while the server progresses, because you'll come on and you're gonna get destroyed. The zombies are gonna be so much more powerful. I think that's kind of the issue with our genre of games that we play and that we cover on Infection, is that so many of them are like that. 7 Days, you don't play casually. No. Ark, you don't play casually. Conan, you don't play casually. Look at our good friend Heisenberg. Even he Minecraft literally is one you can, because things generally don't deteriorate and destroy, but most of them they do. Exactly. I mean, case in point, our good friend Heisenberg that we met up with at PAX East, he literally 7 Days to Die is what he plays. He plays that in Hearthstone, and I think a little bit of WoW. Like, he doesn't play any other games. And he'll stream other games here and there now that he streams. But those are his go-to games that he plays. And he puts a lot of time into those. I mean, his Twitter account is literally dedicated to him almost playing 7 Days to Die. At least it used to be, which is crazy. But a game like 7 Days to Die, if you want to be, the best in your group, or you want to really, accomplish a lot, you have to put in a crap load of time. It's literally a full-time job. So that's just your decision to make. But again, never, I'm not bashing Conan. I'm not saying Conan is bad, but without a group of people playing, it makes it very hard to get invested into the game. So nevertheless, we had a good time. We'll probably play it again in a couple months, and hopefully we can get some more people on, or maybe start up our own, do something with our own server, because I think they're bringing private dedicated servers, and I thought I saw that a couple of weeks ago. And maybe bump the XP up or something like that to get closer to the end game. So nevertheless,
there's something here they were talking about having a private server in Conan Exiles.
Yeah.
But the thing is it has to be a Windows server. So that's kind of the downside, is they don't have Linux yet on it. So yeah, I mean, I have something that I have a Windows server at our location, our Windows computer.
Oh, okay.
So like it is possible.
Okay, cool. Well then,
but it just would be something that wouldn't be permanent.
Yeah. So I would.
We could bring it up whenever we feel like it.
Okay, so that's what we'll do. We'll play that again in a couple of months, and check that out. So, Conan, thanks for the people that showed up. And this week we've got a game that there are no excuses. Now let me be clear with this. The point of the Friday night game night is not to come and play video games. So this is the common misconception. The goal is to show up and talk and hang out with the other members of Infection. That's the mission statement of Friday night game night. It's kind of irrelevant what the game is. The goal is to get a group of people together and have people interact and talk.
Just hang out together.
Hang out, exactly. That's the goal. The video game is the vehicle that makes that happen, but the goal is really not to just show up and play a video game. The goal is to show up and enrich the community, build the community, and have people talk and hang out, whatever, and that's what we do. So this week, you've got no excuse not to play. We are playing Overwatch, and some say, oh, well, Overwatch is $40. Free weekend. We've done this, I think this is the third or fourth time we've done this on a free weekend, because Blizzard does these every once in a while. So it's a big game. It's like 80 or 90 gigabytes. So create a free Battle.net account, install Overwatch. It's going to be free this weekend. Play it. And we're going to have a whole bunch of groups. I would imagine depending on how many people we have, we could do a 4v4, or we could do two 5-man groups, pubs or something like that. We'll figure it out.
A lot of times with this one, we can get 2 full teams just playing against each other, and that's a lot of fun.
Yes, and as Lance says,
Firebomb, you can't just come and hang out and talk because he has data limits, and so for him, that eats up his monthly data on his internet connection.
Yeah.
But you are more than welcome to just even if you just come into the chat and hang out and talk. Like that's part of it. That's the goal of it. Is not to say, oh, that's the game I love to play. The goal is to just come and hang out and be a group, a team of people.
Well, even last night, totally unrelated, but a couple of people were playing Ark, and Matt was playing Fortnite, but he joined the Ark channel, and we just talked because it was, that's kind of the goal of what we do. With that, Gadlo's asking if somebody will be streaming. I might stream it. Maybe I'll stream that for Friday night. Hopefully I don't have anything going on, but Gadlo, that's a possibility. So we'll probably be streaming that Friday night. So yeah, look forward to it. It's free. Download it. You can play, and that'll be 9:30 Friday night Eastern, Discord, and thanks, PH. You can watch my stream. So there you go.
All right. And then do we want to talk about this next thing now?
Sure. As we've done 20 minutes of, this is great. See, this is my favorite. This is so much better than reading news. I mean, everybody has to agree. This is just far superior than being anti-cheat.
Just a ton of wheel spinning.
We fixed the bug with the sound that when the dinosaur pooped, it played the wrong MP3. We updated the MP3. Like,
it plays the opening door sound when a dinosaur poops or whatever.
It's just so much. This is what people want. So I'll throw the floor to you, Mr. Brian Aldridge.
All right. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna be getting a dedicated server for some of the games that we play. And so I've been actually kicking this around and talking with Nick about it for a while. So what we can do is we're going to get a server off of eBay that will be able to host about 3 games probably at once. Something like Ark, 7 Days to Die, Minecraft, things like that. Like we'll alternate which 3 games are going, but we have a good fiber internet connection and a place where I can place this that will work really well. And so we're going to start taking donations. So if people want to donate, and we have a goal of, I think it was $400 that we've set. And once we get close to that, then we will get it ordered and I'll get it all set up. But that way, because right now when I host servers, either it's on kind of one that I use for my business, which works pretty well unless people want to host two at once, and then it could interfere with my clients. So I don't do that. So this would allow us to just have servers that are up all the time. Even if people aren't really using them, it's not wasting resources or causing conflicts with other things. So this will be the Infection Dedicated Game Server Fund. And so far we're $50 into it, and we're aiming for $400. So however long it takes us to get there, and we'll just set this up, place it, and have it available all the time. That way we can keep an ARC server going. And, if people want to come in and play, the issue is I always felt like I had to take a server down because then someone would want something else up. And so if there were people still playing ARC, then it's like, well, you got to stop because we got to do 7 Days to Die now. So this will allow us to host more games at once, and we'll try to get one that has a decent amount of memory, has a decent processor in it, and we'll have games, some option of game going all the time. And this will kind of help with getting that community and keeping that community going. And if we can get people that come up with some really cool builds, we're able to get to that end game content that ARC has that's really hard to get to, and do it. The thing is, we want to do it without me having to spawn things in, because we've always had such a short amount of time to do stuff before. I would always have to spawn things in. We want to have these, like our ARC server, be us actually doing, it'll be accelerated as far as gathering and things, but we want to have it to where everybody has to work and get to the end, tame all the animals, beat all the bosses through the natural way, so that we'd experience it once, experience how to do it. Because we found that even when you spawn everything in, like, people didn't get to that point naturally, and we couldn't get all the end stuff.
Yes.
Unless I just placed them into this place and said, all right, here, let's try to fight it.
Now, I do want to give a quick shout out to our good friend Amnon, who started this fund off, because we were actually talking about this idea privately with a group of people, and he started this off a couple of weeks ago by chipping in the first $50 to that fund. So thank you, Amnon, for that. And it's infectionpodcast.com/dedicated, DEDICATED, dedicated, or just go to every show from now until this is over. We'll have this link in the show notes. So infectionpodcast.com/dedicated. And of course, we're looking forward to this. And ideally, Brian, we'd probably, depending on how much memory we have, we could probably host more than that if they're not all being used at the same time, which ideally they won't. We could even host a TF2 server, Gary's mod, or stuff like that too. So if you have ideas of stuff that you'd be interested in, us hosting or whatever.
With the future, the thing is we have the ability at this location to have gigabit up and down. So, there's not really a limit as far as bandwidth and things like that, but hopefully we'll get people that really take to this and have fun with it. And then later, if we want to upgrade it from the 100 megabit fiber to the gigabit fiber, we could get, donations to cover that on a monthly basis or something. But that would be, I think on the 100 megabit, we should be good for the 3 that we're looking at doing right now.
Absolutely. So there you go. Appreciate it. infectionpodcast.com/dedicated. We'll run this. The end date is through the end of the year, but I would imagine that'll probably. I
just put a date out far out in the future.
We're hoping that we can hit that beforehand. So, and yes, Lance is saying, if we donate on the show, can we get a pop up? Yes, that is tested and it should work. So, I tested it. Hopefully, it does work. So, there you go.
This is another opportunity. We're always asking people that listen, because we got a lot of people that listen to the podcast and they're not here live. Mm-hmm. This is one of those things that maybe we can pull some of those people in to start playing these games with us. People that are really into ARC, because we have a lot of people that listen that play some of these games, and I really encourage you to come check out and join our community and start playing games with us, because we have a pretty good sized group of people that come and play on a regular basis a lot of different games. So if you're one of those people that are like, I've always thought about it, but I haven't done it, come join our Discord, check it out, play, and just jump into some of the different games that we play. Get people to play League of Legends and ARC and 7 Days to Die, just all these games. There's people that have them and are ready to play. So come and join. There's no reason not to. Discord is free. and you can always log out when you're not using it if you're worried about resources.
Absolutely. So without further ado, let's jump into actual show content, I guess. And the first thing is, I guess we'll announce that we have our own ARC server now. And thank you, Green Man Cartoons, chipping in $20 for that. And look at that confetti on the screen. We pulled all the stops here for that Infection Podcast. Yeah. So if you head on over to, we guess we need to link this up on the website. Brian probably should have done that beforehand. We've got our Infection ARC server up on arcservers.net, and this is our Infection Podcast public server. And the goal with this is a public server. So, and what we want is other people besides, while it's great that our group of friends and online people play, we want to encourage other people to also jump on the server and play as well. So if you know somebody that plays ARC and they're looking for something, thank you, Gadlaw, for the $25 donation on that. If you know somebody that plays ARC or whatever and is looking for a new place to maybe they want to get started on, ARC, and they're looking for a place to do that. This server is brand new. What's it? It's 4 days old. I mean, it's a fresh spawn. Yep. And what everybody's been doing, myself and Saul and Falcon and Lance and Joe, everybody's just kind of doing their own thing, and that seems to be working out. Yep. Everybody's just kind of doing their own thing, and you can do that. You can play with the group, whatever. So there will be a link on the website. There's a link in the show notes, infectionpodcast.com, for the Infection Podcast public server, or you can search Infection in the ARC server browser and be able to join that way. So that's what I've been doing the past couple of days, playing some ARC, which has been a lot of fun, especially because, for example, yesterday I spent a good hour and a half to 2 hours trying to find enough keratin to make the saddle for the pterodon, because you need 75, and it was a pain to get. So that's that grind in ARC, which is really cool to do, especially if you're playing alone at the beginning, which is what everybody's.
And that's what I enjoy about, for instance, the official ones, is the fact that there's no spawning in things and things like that. So we're going to treat it like an official, to where people have to do that grind. Because that, for me, is the most fun part, is to go and to struggle. And that's one thing I didn't like about, and I've said this before, what I didn't like about when we played on the official a long time ago, is you have these big groups coming in and handing you things, giving you things. And that actually, I felt like that took a long time. And he says, PHI is asking, why are there 500 unicorns running around? Those are actually naturally spawned into the world by the server. So I haven't spawned anything into the world.
We're not going
we're not going to do that. So it's all stuff that's done through server settings, or it's just the way it is.
Now, thank you, Jay Delore, for the $5 on that. What we do have, though, Brian, and correct me if I'm wrong, we do have a 5x tame on the server, because everybody's kind of playing alone. Those tames would be gruesome to do by yourself. I mean, they would just be terrible to do. So we do. Is it a 5x or 4x on the tame? I think it's 5.
I think it's 8x right now, but I think I'm gonna lower it.
Oh, you have the tame at 8x?
Yeah, I think it's too high right now, so I'm gonna lower it down a little bit.
Jesus. Okay.
But I think we may kind of tune it back. I think I'm gonna tune back the rates to be a little bit closer to normal. It'll just so that we have a longevity.
It'll be at least 5x on the tames, though, because these I mean, the tames will take a significant amount of time, especially if you're playing by yourself. So you can check that out, infectionpodcast.com. We've been playing. People are in there all day. People are in there right now playing. So that's the way you can do it. So infectionpodcast.com, and more self-promotion. We are 35 minutes into the show. It's fantastic. Let's wrap it.
Almost gotten to the notes.
let's just wrap it.
Hey,
here.
Thanks for watching, everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so let's jump into ARC. Since we were talking about ARC, let's just jump into the news for ARC this week. So 269, this was September 15th that they released this. They fixed some bugs with the Phoenix, where you could set dinos it says alight from a far distance. So you can actually set dinos on fire from a ways away with the Phoenix. Fix a bug where it wouldn't the Phoenix would not do damage to wild targets in PvE. Fixed a bug where you could unlock super speed with the tech jetpack. Fixed a bug where setting the server FPS to 2.5 would launch you across the map. Fixed a bug where preventing, I don't know how do you find those things? That's what I want to know, is who tests this?
People like you that just set the rates or whatever. And then
they set the server's frames per second to 2.5 and then it launched them across the map. Like, who set their server to 2.5 frames per second to find this out?
That's
cap.
what
I don't understand.
That's the cap.
Yeah.
2.5 frames a second.
You can only do 2.5 frames a second. I mean, that'd be a fun game mode, I guess.
No, it wouldn't. That'd be awful. Your eyes would be bleeding from trying to figure out what's going on.
It's like those tablet games where they're like the physics games. You remember the one where you had to run?
Yes.
And it's like you're trying to control the body parts.
QW or whatever that game was called.
Whatever it is. Or like Surgeon Simulator is just trying to be the worst possible game that you can make it. And that's why people love it.
Yeah,
so
there you go.
They fixed a bug preventing players riding Therizino when getting shot. From getting shot when turrets were set to player only. Fixed an issue where you weren't able to name your character preset in character creation. To fix the Ankylosaurus where we get stuck in the air. Major networking change to resolve client disconnections when structures are destroyed. And they fixed a bug where you could tame and damage a Phoenix when not in superheat. And then 269.1, they just fixed a direct 3D client side error. And then 269.2, and this happened today. They fixed a bug where in the event of a rollback, players who recently used the Crosshair transfer system could lose their characters. And they fixed the bear trap to avoid turret exploit. Bear trap's only damageable by explosion now or demolishing. And then they reduced flamethrower damage from base 100 per second to 30 per second. So it must have been way overpowered. The flamethrower direct damage is now affected by armor. The flamethrower expensive foliage particle effect now eliminated for everyone except the local player using the weapon. And then the chain, probably because people could lag other people out by using the flamethrower. The chainsaw now able to attack whilst running, so you can run around and be unsafe. They say don't run with scissors, but you can run with a chainsaw. Tripled the effective ammo on tech armors so that they now last 3 times as long per element. The shield block should block whip, stuns, and item drops. So, we use the whip and the item drops and trigger the cooldown, and whip stun on players reduced to 1 second. Implemented a new value to reduce improper torpor with gas grenades. And then the chitin, metal, riot, and tech armors now reduce incoming torpor. So, and they have on here the stats if you want to check it out. We'll have a link to it in the show notes for how much that was reduced.
Yes, we have been enjoying Ark. I think enjoying Ark would be an understatement. I mean, everybody's loving it. Everybody that's playing is loving it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many times you've played it from the start, or
you can always play it a little bit different each time.
And that's the thing. It's always different. It's always a completely different game. It's always completely different how you get your start. It's just a different experience every time. Even if you've played it, this is probably our 4th or 5th time, like actually jumping into it and playing it. We've done a couple private servers. We've done 2 public servers, and every time it's like, I mean, I'm itching to play the game right now, Brian. To be perfectly honest with you, I mean, I could load it up on my laptop right here and play. I mean, that would be fantastic.
You could just
wouldn't be paying attention.
Well, and that's where you get the green screen, and then they can watch us play Ark for 2 hours.
Put the game behind us. Yeah, that wouldn't be distracting whatsoever. Yeah. So if you want to jump into Ark, just join Discord, and there's in the servers channel, text channel in Discord, there's a link to join the server. So get in on Discord. You can get the information to join. If you have a problem, there's people in Discord that can help you get on the server. So I'd highly recommend you do that if you are interested in playing some Ark, because I think we have a pretty good group, and everybody's just kind of doing their own thing and hanging out, and it's so far a pretty good time. So there you go. That's what we're doing right now.
All right. And then as far as, do we want to do the game giveaway since we're almost an hour in?
Yeah, let's do that.
Go ahead and get that started. Okay, so let me go ahead and get the, it'll be ! Giveaway in chat. And it should be 30 points. So if you've been watching since the beginning of the show, you should have more than enough to do this. So we are going to be giving away a copy. Let me get the right one here of Morph Blade. And Morph Blade. This was actually donated to us. And my thing is all messed up. I think it was Firebomb that actually gave us a copy of this.
Okay.
But this is Morph Blade, and it is a casual indie strategy puzzle game. And so I'll put a link to it in chat if you want to check that out. It's got positive ratings. Hasn't been out very long. Came out this year. And it's looks like a pretty fun game if you're into casual indie puzzle games.
Yeah. So there you go. And you want to know the best part, Brian? I've got the best part. It's free. It's completely free. So all you have to do is
you'll lose nothing.
Yeah,
literally
other
than your 30 points, which you'll get back.
Yes, literally completely free. So all you have to do is be here for the live show, which we are live almost every Tuesday. We're here on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/infection podcast, and you can tune in live, part of the giveaway. You can be in chat, and people, as you've seen throughout this show, we bring up things that are in chat. So we highly recommend you tune into the live show. All right, let's talk about PUBG. No surprise, the game is just doing fantastic. I don't think anybody could have imagined the expectations. I don't think anybody could have imagined how well this has been going. I don't think anybody in their wildest dreams thought this game would be as successful as it is. And that's not a knock on the game. That's not a knock on the people. It's just the fact of,
well, it's gone beyond normal expectations.
It's the biggest game.
It's gone past.
You can make the argument.
It's AAA.
Yeah, you can make the argument that it's one of the most, if not the most played game on PC right now. I mean, it is crazy how many people are playing this game. And we'll have a numbers update at the end of the show. But we do have an update out this week, and this is their September update, and they put on the top of this dev blog here, as they noted in their previous blog, they've changed their patch schedule. So instead of doing the scheduled, they were doing the bug fixes every week, and then every fourth update was a big content patch. They've kind of scaled that back a little bit, and they're just doing updates when they feel the updates are necessary. So I think it's a good thing in the long run. It'll give them time to hopefully not push features out prematurely to hit a schedule. The other way you look at that, it may allow them to slack off isn't the right word, but it may give them more time to maybe sit on something when really it should just be out. It should just be out in the open and tested. So there's pros and cons to both sides of that, but nevertheless, this is their September update. Now they talk about vaulting. Vaulting will dramatically change how the game works. Vaulting is going to allow people to, first of all, vault over structures. It will also allow people to climb. So you'll be able to climb up walls, ideally, and go into windows, and it will just change the play style of the game. I mean, right now, you look at a typical house in Battlegrounds has 1 or 2 entrances, depending on the house. I think actually all of them have 2. But there's some that they're there's a stairwell, and there's a tunnel essentially. There's one place where people can come up and kill you, and that's through the stairs. They could lob a grenade through a window, yes, but if you aim your sights down those stairs and you sit there and wait for somebody to walk in the door, there's a good chance you're going to be able to kill them. Now that's not always the case, but there's a tunnel there. There's a way to kill people, and it's an advantage. With this vaulting system, with the climbing system, it is going to allow people to climb into windows, climb up on roofs. It is going to completely change how Battlegrounds is played, and it's gonna require people to master different playstyles, not just opening the door, throwing a stun, and then running up the stairs and trying to gun somebody down with a shotgun. Going to completely change the game. So it's going to be interesting to it's going to be interesting to see how that works.
Well, and I think there's always that hurdle, no pun intended, of trying to get over those fences. When you look at those fences that maybe if you jump just right in the part that's kind of cracked, like you can sometimes get over it, and you have to get from the right distance back. This is going to solve that problem because you can go up to it and it'll pretty much just let you get over it. Or you can run and I think do it at a faster rate, or lift yourself up on top of things to maybe get on a roof that you normally couldn't. So this I think will make a big difference with just kind of those annoying, this is a stupid fence I'm trying to jump over. Oh, I'm going to run around it. It's not worth it. It's not working. And I think it just will bring a much more natural and smoother type of a feel to running around. And I think they still have more work to do with, they use Unreal. It's called blend spaces. They're blend spaces of the character moving around left, right, forward, back. But I think this is a good start to that, to where it won't feel as limiting of, oh, I had to move and I had to go 3 steps back, run, and try to jump over this. So we'll see. Hopefully, from seeing the videos and clips that they've done, it looks like it's going to be good.
Now, they explain the technical stuff behind this, and our show kind of goes beyond the depth of just news. We go beyond just, here's an update. We kind of dive into things a little bit, and the interesting thing they say here is how the vaulting system will work. And they go on with this and say that there are tens of thousands of objects in the world that could potentially be vaulted or, climb or whatever it may be. So they're saying that each, to perform this, the geometry and properties of each object have to be dynamically detected and analyzed by essentially the player. So when you get close enough to something to interact with it, your game is that they are having to build an algorithm to detect, is this something that I can climb? Is this something I can vault? First of all, like a fence. You're not going to climb a fence, one of the regular half height fences. You would vault that. You wouldn't climb that. So it's got to dynamically detect, is this something I vault? Is this something I jump? And it's for every item in the map. And they're saying there's tens of thousands of objects that could potentially be climbed on top of or climbed over or scaled up the side of a wall. So it's very, very cool how this system's going to work. And the goal with this is that they can't just test this for a couple of days on test like a regular feature, because this is essentially going to change how the game works. So what they're going to be doing is a long period test, and they're thinking it's going to start in early November, and then they'll roll it out to test servers and and give it a try. So to give people a longer period of time to test essentially something that's going to change the dynamics of the game. So that's of course very important. They're adding a couple of first-person only servers. They're adding some duo servers for the Oceanic region for solo and squad. And then they talk about looking into stuff about Oceanic servers, which is what they've been working on for a little while. A couple of updates in this note as well. Client optimization, they've optimized shadows. This one is big. I wish there was a star next to it. Improved performance on low-end PCs by optimizing buildings. This game is a huge resource hog. It requires a pretty decent computer to run. You can't run this on a computer you'd be able to run H1Z1 on. Again, not a dig against H1Z1, but the game was built and optimized for people on lower-end computers. It's just the quality of things are low in the game so that people with lower-end computers can play.
Well, it's running on an engine that's really old as well. So
yeah, absolutely. So that all factors together.
Battlegrounds is running on a modern day engine.
Yeah, I mean, Ark has this problem too. Ark in games like this,
everything.
while it's great, everything, oh my God, it's so beautiful, it looks fantastic, it alienates the group that can play it. And now I guess you could make the argument with Battlegrounds, well, what the hell's the difference? There's over 1 million people playing it concurrently, so who the hell are they alienating? A valid argument, but not everybody has a top-of-the-line gaming PC to play something like this. For example, my $1,100 laptop with a 950M, GTX 950M in it, does not play Battlegrounds at good settings. I mean, it is not a smooth experience. Now, I wouldn't call this top-of-the-line, but it sure as hell's better than any computer you're going to get with a built-in, the Intel, what do they call it? Intel HD graphics or whatever it is. So it doesn't. This requires the next tier up of just regular computers. That's not going to fly with this. You're not going to be able to buy something off the shelf at Best Buy and play this game. So very important that they improve performance for lower end PCs to allow some of those people to get in the game. Optimize client server performance when there are multiple vehicles in close vicinity. Optimize the UI. For the world, they've added foggy weather, another dynamic weather system. Right now they've got rain. They don't have snow, do they? Do you remember?
It's fog. No, not yet. It's
okay. That's
so it's fog and then
rain.
and then rain.
And the rain sucks.
So
because the rain, it's foggy, it's dark, it's dingy, and it's really
really
hard
changes
to see.
the distance. I mean, I don't remember anywhere there being any kind of a hint at snow. I mean, they're getting ready to do the new desert map, right? They're going to be doing a desert
PH says
one.
there's a snow
I'm
map
assuming,
coming. So
yeah, I'm assuming at some point they're going to be adding these different biomes to give these different feels.
Yeah, I would imagine snow was probably on the table. I mean, there's no technical reason that they can't do snow.
I mean, what's like with the numbers that they're making, like they just might as well keep adding to this.
Oh yeah, might as well. I mean,
keeping people's interest going on it, because they're doing incredibly well numbers wise. Like the money's there to do it. And I'm glad that they're not sitting back and just kind of relaxing and saying, oh, well, let's live off of this for a while.
Yeah. So right now
they're continually adding to this.
Right now they have fog, normal day, dusk, rain, and that's according to Matt.
Yep.
So they've got essentially 4. Now again, with the rain, it changes how you play the game, because you're not going to be able to snipe somebody across the world with the rain. It's it's very, very tough. And I can imagine with the fog, if they make it dense. I mean, I drove through some dense fog last week.
I mean,
it
from
was
seeing the
crazy.
screenshots, it's pretty dense. Like there's no point in a sniper rifle with the high, if that's what they're having it at. They may have just been doing a test, but if that's what it is, there would be no point in having a sniper rifle when it's a foggy one. It'd be all mid to close range.
Yeah,
because you can't see anything far enough away to actually use a sniper rifle.
And let me give my opinion before I've played it. I want real fog. None of this like BS, this kind of like haze nonsense. I want real deal. If anybody's ever been in like real dense fog, it is arguably the creepiest thing. It's you turn around and you don't see anything. It's very, very creepy. And I think that would be very cool for this game. Now, of course, you need to be able to see what's in front of you so you can play the game. That would suck. But there's a level between like fake fog that they just make everything a little bit hazy, and then like real, and then maybe some dense pockets of fog would be cool. So I'll be interested to see how they implement this in game, because I want real fog, and I want to I want it to make it so you pretty much run around with a shotgun.
It's not just an atmospheric fog, because that's kind of what you're talking about. Is the one that's more generic is an atmospheric fog that just kind of has a general haze everywhere. This one should be an actual fog, and if they wanted to, they could make pockets of this fog. Like it could be tough. You run in and out of it. The capabilities are there. We'll just see if that's how they program it in.
Yeah. And Stairwave is saying that it's real fog, and then I'll be surprised. I hope I am. I really hope I am, because I think that's really, really cool. So that's what's going on with that. The foggy weather effects will hinder players' sight on the map. The weather effect has a low probability to occur, which is good. Again, if it's a tough game mode, you don't want it occurring every 3 games. That would just it would just become a nuisance after a certain point.
But every once in a while, having that variety
helps
keep the game feeling fresh.
Yeah. Now, what they say is in order to test the weather effects, the foggy weather will have a higher chance to occur during test server gameplay, but will reduce when it gets to live server. So that'll be good. I wish they would just make all the test servers fog, just for like a weekend or whatever. Just every game you play is fog, to really kind of troubleshoot it. Enhanced graphics of in-sky and pre-existing weather effects. Added a new town east of Stulber. So that's in there. Couple of UI changes as well. Some options to change crossbow color, and a couple of other keybinds and stuff like that. Now they've added a new weapon. It's the Mini 14, and the Mini 14 is a lightweight and compact 5.56 semi-automatic marksman rifle, and they've got a screenshot of it here. This is the new gun. This is probably what would you say, Brian, the 5th new weapon that they've implemented into the game since launch, maybe the 6th, maybe 4th, something like that.
Yeah, it's right around there.
So this is cool.
I haven't been counting, but it's
somewhere in the vector that the sniper with the sniper with the scope. There's been a handful of new guns in here. So it's the Mini 14 that's in here. It shoots 5x5.6. So that's cool. They seem like they add a new weapon almost every time they do one of these, right? Or every other one. I mean, they've added. They've probably
got a backlog, and I think that with weapons, it is kind of easy to add them, but I think they want to over time see how it balances the game and if it changes the dynamic of the game. And I think it's really smart for them rather than saying, all right, we've added 4 new weapons today. Because then people aren't learning how to use them and really testing them. I think with this releasing one a month, one every, I mean, it seems like one a month, right? That they're doing. I think that this gives people time to, people look for them just to try that new gun out, but then it just becomes one of the regular guns in the arsenal, and people are then using it properly before they reintroduce a new one.
Absolutely.
So I think they're doing a good job and doing about the right distance apart.
Yeah. Now they say for this this weapon, the Mini 14 uses sniper rifle attachments for both the muzzle and the magazine slots, and it can take any type of optical sight that is in the game right now. So that's cool. And they also say that every weapon they've introduced so far has had a trade-off. They introduced the new sniper. It takes like 10 shots to kill somebody with it, unless you hit them right in the head. And I still think in the head it takes a shot or two if somebody has a helmet on. So each gun has a trade-off. They're not just adding, another assault rifle that's just like all the other ones that just, high velocity kills people. Everybody uses it. Every gun's got a trade-off. The Vector, of course, very low range. You empty your clip.
Very limited amount of bullets.
You literally touch your mouse and your clip is empty. So each gun's got a trade-off. Now this one, it has lower damage stats compared to other DMRs. And it is compensated by very high muzzle velocity and low bullet drop. So for maybe somebody like me that's not the best player, this may be a solution because it's got that low bullet drop, which is something.
You don't have to try to guess quite so much when you're. Oh, is that 200 yards, 300 yards?
I don't do any of that nonsense. I just shoot and see where it lands and then try to shoot again. I mean, it's not my play style. So there's the advantages and disadvantages of this new gun. It'll be in the game in this September update. Gameplay, they've done some modifications. That's not what I meant to show. Distances at which shadows are rendered are now synchronized across all graphic settings to ensure fair play, which has been an issue because people were screwing around with things and trees weren't showing up or whatever. And they had to kind of hone that in. And then just a whole bunch of other stuff in here. A couple of bug fixes.
Well, one thing that's interesting is that Tommy gun, they removed it from the care packages, and now it's a world spawn. So you probably will start seeing the Tommy gun.
I don't remember that being
So the Tommy gun is the one that holds like 100 and something rounds.
Oh, this is the one
that round, the circular clip.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
I've never used it.
I always find it in the beginning area, but it's one that you can just load a ton of bullets in. Has very little kick. It's a fun gun to shoot, but you'll now start seeing those around the world. So keep an eye out for them. Yeah,
I don't think I've ever used that gun. Actually, I don't even think I've ever seen one in game because it's not something that's always like that. So that's good. And then some bug fixes as well. Field of view slider, some stuff with the spectate mode. Nothing crazy. A couple of interesting things here. First of all, NVIDIA Shadowplay highlights now work in Windows 7 and 8. However, if Windows Aero is disabled, it may not work. You know what that means. If you play video games, you've disabled that at some point or another. And then just a couple of other things. So overall, giving an update on vaulting, that is clearly taking up a large chunk of their time, as it should, because they're saying they literally have to analyze everything that you interact with to see if you can vault or climb. So that's eating up a lot of their time, which is great.
And they probably have a database of these objects. Okay, this is this object. They're probably going and entering so that when you approach it and look at it and get ready to vault over it, it says, okay, this is this type. All right, you can jump over this, or you have to, do whatever to step over this, or this is one of those ones where you can kind of do a flip over like the front of the vehicle. So
yeah,
there's some work, and I think it'll be well worth it once people see how it works. If it works like they showed in those videos.
Absolutely. So that's the Battlegrounds September update, of course. Big stuff on that. And then we had our early access week 28 update. And this one doesn't really have anything significant in it. Added the following feature to the map help section on the world map, making your character's current position. The default key is set to insert on your keyboard. Which is typically above your arrows. Other than that, what they have listed under other is you may no longer modify the INI file to set keybinds for multiple actions on the same key. I guess you could probably exploit, or you could. Well, no, I guess it wouldn't be an exploit. It would just be an unfair advantage if you had multiple keys doing the same thing. I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but there's.
I'm trying to think of why you would do that. I mean, it's got to be something they were figuring out.
There's got to be something with like maybe reloading and bandaging that you do that at the same time. I don't know, something stupid like that. But there was probably some people that were doing that. PH saying to jump through windows because you have to do. It's very hard to jump through windows with the control, and I don't remember. It's very tough to jump through windows right now.
Yeah, because you would crouch, jump,
yes,
and then you'd be able to go through
control
a window.
C.
So that's
So that would
yep.
Yeah. So that they did that. I guess that would make sense. So there you go. You can macro it, of course, but it's no longer bindable by one key. Bug fixes fixed a bug that enabled the angled foregrip to attach to the Tommy gun, which it should not have been able to do. Fixed a graphic bug and just a couple of other bugs as well. So that is that's Battlegrounds. That's the news. So 2 up. It's been a while since we've seen stuff with that. So that's Battlegrounds.
So I wasn't sure. Were you wanting to save this one for?
This is my segment, Brian. It's my. Only
okay,
on your show, it's the
numbers in there. So
on your show, it's the only time I have to shine. We'll talk about current players towards the end of the show. So Brian,
okay.
I'm sorry, I'll give you your show.
I thought you'd have some fun with those. So I just wanted to make sure that we did mention it at that time.
It's fine. It's my segment. Hey guys, everyone who wants a tip, press Alt Tab to switch from one window to another when you're playing video games.
You could just make a really uncomfortable situation by just scrolling down and then reading it during the show, so that then when we get to my segment, I'll be like,
oh yeah,
the week. I'll try to think of something really quick.
Yeah, and there you go. And I've actually got a bonus tip of the week. Get ready for that.
Cool.
I gotta remember what it is. Heard about it yesterday. Don't remember what it is. I have to message somebody to figure out what it was. But nevertheless, we're gonna have the bonus tip of the week. Yeah, Alt Tab Green Man.
So
we'll get you to another.
So I'm gonna go ahead and roll for this raffle since that way we don't run into the next one.
Of course.
So congratulations to Stairwave,
longtime friend of the show.
Longtime friend of the show. So congratulations. I will send you a message with the code for that. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right, so we have some unturned news. I don't know if.
Oh, okay. Yes.
We want to jump into that.
Yeah, unturned.
So this
we need to do this
3.20.5.0.
We need to play this again sometime soon as well. We played this probably a couple months ago.
People complain, but I think people have fun.
Yeah, screw it.
When we do it,
I want to play it, so we'll play it.
So this was on the 15th. So it was a couple days ago. They added a compass and options to always display the compass. They added multiple stages to Arena Compactor. They added airdrops to Arena maps containing every item. They added arena options, so max group size and ability to disable static groups. They added max vehicles and animal options. They added the September 2017 workshop crate number 4. So there'll be some new skins in that. They added grenade and tracer examples. And then they did an improvement to the map screen to refresh without reopening. And then they did 3 fixes. So they said that the transition to the Toronto map went well, and it's been exciting moving out for the first time and a lot more work than I expected. Mostly everything's settled now, aside from some cleaning to do and some furniture. So he moved, so he's no longer in the same spot. So it sounds like he maybe was sidetracked from work for a little bit from that. But as they're putting out, he had those people that are helping him with the maps now. So that probably helps a lot. He doesn't have to do everything himself, but he still does a lot of work when he's doing those. So very good. So that's unturned. Yeah, we'll have to set up a game. We need to set, and if we could get suggestions from people that watch the show, game nights, games that you want to play over the next however many weeks. So we'll build up a list, and then that way we can say, all right, 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, we're going to have these different games. So if you have a suggestion, I would just email us, contact@infectionpodcast.com. That way Nick and I will both see it, and we will keep a spreadsheet of games in the future. So, and if you'd be willing to host those games, that would really help. That way, you're kind of championing that game as far as being the moderator, the lead for it. So
there you go.
That's pretty much unturned.
There you go. I've got
So a little bit lighter notes than usual, but as he said, he is moving. So he moved to Toronto.
Toronto, yes. I've got some news, Brian. This I had this bookmarked a couple weeks ago, and somehow it fell through the cracks. And when I say, folks, if you see a piece of news, do not assume that we've seen it. Please send it to us, because there are so many games that we follow throughout the week. Just so many games, so many different things to look at. That just send it to us. So this is Hide and Hold Out. I've talked about this game extensively, in how the development cycle was weird. It came out, people liked it, development vanished for months, came back, and I'm going to read through this post now. This was posted September 6th, so this is 2 weeks ago, and it opens with, hello guys, I come to you today with no good news, I'm afraid. The goal with this was to continue H2O, hide and hold out. The acronym was H2O. H2O, as long as I had the money to do it. I'm sorry to say that day has come. I no longer have the means to ensure a full-time work on this game. I've been forced to shut down some of the servers recently, but he did what he did to keep some of the software that allows him to develop the game. Going on with this, essentially, the game no longer has the means to develop this game full time. So what he says is he doesn't want to end the development of H2O like this. This is a bad time, but not everything is over. Some of my friends and I will continue to work on the game when we have time, and maybe someday I will have the opportunity to either make a big update and make H2O take off again, or maybe I'll be able to make a true remake of H2O, maybe with another engine with more experience and wisdom. But I cannot hide this fact to you. I really tried my best as long as I could. This is the interesting line, and I've got to give this guy an unbelievable amount of credit for saying this next thing, Brian. You ready for this? Today, yeah. I don't recommend to anybody to buy this game until the situation has improved. So, that is a very strong line from the lead developer. It says, I'm being clear with you all because you deserve it. My dream almost came true. Thank you. And I owe you all this. I think he's French. So the English isn't always the best, but that's a strong line from a developer. I do not recommend you buy my game at this time until the situation has improved. That takes some balls to say. That absolutely takes some balls to say. Yeah. So we have.
And they had a lot of. I think he had some fallout with the original developers.
Yes.
Or other developer that was on it, and I don't know any insight on it or anything extra. That's just what I gathered from it. So. That's the thing. I think that probably the best thing you could do is I don't think people can host their own servers right now.
No, they can't.
So you would think that would be maybe the next step that he could do, because that's something that comes out of his pocket, server hosting costs, allow people to host their own servers. And then if they want to keep messing around with it and kind of have their own playground, they can, and then he can just try to maintain bug fixes initially. Because that's the tough thing, is there's going to be a point where if you can't afford to keep the servers up, then there's no game.
Yeah. So that'll be interesting to see. Obviously, we won't expect any news anytime soon with this, but I'll keep my RSS feed up to date with this, and hopefully in the next, and then this is tough. And I think unfortunately in his case with H2O, it was released too prematurely. It wasn't ready for launch. It's not the only game that's done that. It just wasn't ready for launch, and people aren't. It's only been out since April of last year, so it's not like it's been out for 4 or 5 years. It's been about a year and a half since it's been out, and it's just tough, especially with that big drop in the middle where development stopped for, I think it was 6 or 8 months. It's just a tough situation. So hide and hold out. Hopefully in the future we'll see maybe somebody grab the project, take it over. I said a remake, different engine, something. Because I do think the game, it was a great concept. It was Ark, but it was all water based, which I thought was really cool. All water bases, which I thought was awesome. So you can, obviously don't buy the game at this point, but
as you said, props to him for coming out and just saying, hey, here's the situation, and and not just letting it, because there's a lot of other ones that will just let it go forever and you won't hear a word about it. And people will think that for some reason it's going to come back when it's not. They'll hold on to it, keep playing it. So he's saying don't buy it. But this is what he wanted to do, and hopefully when the time is right, he can come back and he'll have another chance to do it right the second time.
Absolutely.
Even if it's a different title.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely. There's no reason this has to be, the end all be all. I'm sure there could be something else. So there you go.
All right. So now the Long Dark, they had a update. So this is the single player game that's a really good survival game. And they actually have released it. So it's out of alpha. And then they've just been doing a lot of bug fixes. So they've done their patch 9. And this was on the 13th that they did this. So if you're playing this, they did something that's kind of risky. Is they saved a lot of the story mode and a whole type of game mode for the actual release. And so if you were playing this, you possibly ran into bugs that, because this wasn't out on the alpha, there are things that came up after the fact. So they're just been putting out pretty much weekly patches fixing these things. So things with the storyline. So a lot of fixes this time in episode 2. Fixes to the survival mode that they have. Things like duplicate bears spawning in challenge hunted, things like that could have caused you some issues when you're trying to do this challenge. It's already pretty hard to do, and then all of a sudden 2 bears show up to come and kill you. So they're getting a lot of those type of things fixed. So if you're playing Long Dark, and if you haven't, maybe you purchased this and it's been sitting in your library, I would really encourage you to go and check it out, because it is it's a really challenging game, and they've added some pretty cool game modes in the last couple weeks, when they released to the full. So I would encourage you to, if you don't have it installed, install it, check it out, and play through, because it is a very different game than what was in the alpha. So very good. I mean, that's pretty much it.
Okay. Cool.
Long Dark patch 9.
Yes. I don't think I've had a chance. I don't think I've played Long Dark. I think I've looked at it.
It's a single player. It's a challenging single player game, but I don't know if it's one that you would enjoy.
It's not for everybody.
I don't know if it's your style of game.
Yeah.
But what I would encourage you to go check out some YouTube videos.
Yes, absolutely.
They have some Let's Play ones where you can kind of see how it goes, because it's a single player survival game. So it's kind of similar to what's the there's just different ones that it's all about you versus the environment, not against other players.
Yeah.
So it just depends if you're that type of person who likes to challenge yourself.
I've watched videos. It's a tough game. It's not some,
die a lot.
Yeah. Which is, people don't like games like that. Case in point, Unturned. You die a lot. It sucks. Nobody likes dying. I mean, it's not fun. it's not the best part of the game. So it's a tough game, but it's for a. I think if you're somebody that's really into like a game like 7 Days to Die, it's not like 7 Days to Die per se, but the environment is. Again, I haven't played it.
I mean, it's more challenging than 7 Days to Die as far as environment.
Yeah, but if 7 Days to Die is a tough environment. If you don't like 7 Days to Die as an environment, which I'm all right with, but it's borderline too hard for me, too hardcore for me. Definitely wouldn't play the Long Dark. It's just too much.
Yeah.
So, it's.
Yep. I mean, it's a unique game, and now that there's a little bit more guidance to it, it's not just placing you in the middle of nowhere, and it's like, okay, figure out how to survive. It kind of takes you through a story, and you're starting to figure out what happens. So it is a little easier than it was, just because it has save points and it takes you back to that point if you die. So it's a little more of a guided experience now, which makes it a little more endurable.
Yes.
So as far as King of the Kill, do we want to jump to that?
Yeah. So
they had an update on the 15th.
Yes, and this is a test server update. Now, there's a couple of gameplay things and then just some bug fixes and some coming soon. I want to get your opinion on the first one, Brian, and the chats too. It says there is now player-to-player collision for teammates and enemies. Shoot, Brian, what are your thoughts? Player-to-player collision.
I'm trying to think of what they mean.
It means so that two people can't walk through doors at the same time now. Like you and your teammates. Like if you're like,
the thing is they had this originally. They took it out because people were jumping onto things, right? That was the issue. Is people were hopping up onto other people and getting onto things that they weren't supposed to, or getting into bases and things like that, which isn't really an issue in King of the Kill. But this game can get frustrating as long as their collision boxes are incredibly accurate. What gets really frustrating is when you're running and like its collision box is wider than your character, and so maybe it would be possible for you to get through a space, but because their collision boxes aren't accurate, you can't. Those things are annoying to me, and so I don't mind that you run into players. Just as long as, remember how in some games when you run into the players, I think it was PUBG, and it would stutter?
Yes.
PUBG, every time you touch another character, like it would stutter your game, as long as it doesn't do anything like that. And as long as it's accurate enough to where if visibly it looks like you can get through that spot with two of you, you should be able to.
Player-to-player collision is tough. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, especially when somebody maybe goes AFK. Or just steps away for just a second and they're in the doorway or they're in a hallway or something and you can't get past them. That's the only thing that kind of comes to my mind.
Which shouldn't happen in King of the Kill.
No, but you may have a situation where it's like oh, I'm trying to think. I'm gonna go grab a soda. So the fridge is right here, but I have to take my headphones off and get up, and I'm away for 30 seconds.
And the thing I would want to know is how does this work with players laying down, for instance, because with this collision, usually that means that you can't step over a character, right? You can't walk over them. But can you jump over them? That's the kind of collision that I'm wondering is that if someone lays down in a doorway, can you get past them somehow? If you can't, then I don't like it. But there's got to be a way to where people can't troll you and trap you in a room just because you can't get past them.
Yeah. All right. So that's interesting. I'm kind of indifferent. I don't really play the game enough to have oh, it's going to affect this or it's going to affect that. Some games, player-to-player collision is important to have on. Sometimes it's not. I don't really know. We'll have to see once it's implemented. We'll see on Twitter and Reddit, I'm sure, if people are pissed off. Yeah, exactly. So that's a big update. Increase the minimum time between throws, grenades, any type of throwables. It was previously 1.25 seconds. It's now 2.25. So you're adding a second. And again, you may not be a second. A second's a long time. Second is a long enough time for somebody to come behind you and whoop you. So we'll have to see what but that's a big increase. I mean, it's almost a 50% increase. Yeah. So you're talking about a significant time change in that. When using the team.
So that's before you can throw another one. So, cause you see a lot of time in the professional player where they're like, just quick tossing grenades.
Yeah.
And so this is going to kind of stop that from happening to where, as you said, a second is a long time in a video game when it's coming down in a tense situation.
But see, here's my question. Where, again, I'm not trying to bash H1Z1 or the developers. Where did 2.25 seconds come from? Is this a number that they just pulled out of thin air, or do they have something that they based this off of? Because that's important to understand. Is this just a, well, hell, 1.125 is too quick. Let's make it 2? Like, where does this come from? I'm hoping this comes from some type of statistic that they can base this off of. I just hope to God this is not guess and check, because it's a significant upgrade. You're adding a second. A second in a video game is you dead or you alive. Like hell, half a second is a long enough time to make that difference. So I'm hoping that this is some type of, there's some science. I'll throw science in quotes behind this, because that's I don't use. Well, okay,
so how much of an issue is this, anyways? Because you had to go into your inventory and drag the second grenade into your slot, unless you're carrying 3 grenades and no guns. You know what I'm saying? Like, how quickly can you throw a bunch of grenades, anyways?
I don't know.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I don't use them.
So why punish somebody if they're willing to only run around with 1 gun? Why punishing them for throwing 2 grenades too quickly? They're using 2 of their weapon slots for grenades if they're throwing them that quickly.
Yeah, I'm not sure, Brian. I don't know.
I don't know why. I don't know why. I mean, they're already punishing themselves by only having 1 weapon, or having enough bag space to be able to stick the weapon
Isn't there a grenade
or
slot now,
dropping the
though?
weapon on the ground.
Isn't there a slot for
No, I
grenades?
don't think so.
Okay, maybe I'm wrong. I
I
don't
don't
know.
think so.
Nevertheless,
I mean, yeah.
we'll see. I mean, again, we'll see all this stuff. We'll see the response on Reddit and Twitter. When using Team Spectate, you'll now see incoming and outgoing hit indicators or hit markers. If you have this one, I'm not a fan of. If you okay, according to Sarah, after the combat update, you're able to throw dozens, so it must automatically filter back into your inventory.
So it pulls from the inventory now.
Auto
Okay.
draws. So that makes sense. Thanks for that. If you this next one I'm not a fan of either. If you have a heal ticking, which if you have the heal indicator, if your health is going up because you've used a first aid kit, and then you use another first aid kit, the heal duration will be reset to maximum duration. This should eliminate the causes.
So you lose the remainder of that, what we would have gotten from the first aid kit.
Now, this is a strategy, is knowing that you can't just throw on 3 first aid kits and you have to let them time out. Why are they getting rid of this?
Yeah.
Why is this an issue? Like, just leave it where it is. You should be, if you don't know that you.
No, I think it's doing what you're thinking it's doing.
Not. Well, it's telling it shouldn't be. I'm saying
it just it restarts it to the max duration.
Part of learning the game is learning how to medicate. How to there's
but the
how
thing
to play
is
the game.
you're losing some of the benefit of
if you don't know how to play.
First aid kit.
If you don't know how to play,
you're not getting the full amount. You're not getting the full healing that first one. You're wasting some of the first one that you just overrode.
If you choose not to play the game properly, they have if a first aid kit takes, let's say, 30 seconds to fully heal. If you spam 10 in 30 seconds, you should lose them.
You lose 9 of them.
You should.
That's what I'm saying. That's what happens.
No, but they're saying this. No, they're eliminating the cause of wasting a first aid kit. What it used to do, instead of setting, it would just kill the first aid kit wherever it was. Now it just sets the duration of the back to full. That's what I'm saying.
This should eliminate cases of wasting a first aid kit by using it.
Well, he was already in progress. It should. I like that because unexperienced
players.
Like
what they're saying in the first time is that they are wasting it because it makes it so you don't get that health benefit of the first one.
I'm not sure what the implementation is, but they're saying that they're getting rid of the causes of wasting first aid kits. They should not. That's a strategy that over time you learn how to properly use the first aid.
I'm just wondering if before. I don't think they stack now. That doesn't sound like. It doesn't sound like they stack. PH is saying that do they stack now? Did they already? It seems like what happens is it just starts the timer over again, and I don't know how this eliminates cases of wasting unless the timer wasn't going to max when you redid one.
Maybe it
wasn't actually starting the timer over again. That's what I'm thinking was happening before is they weren't resetting that timer and you were pretty much losing a first aid kit because it didn't give you any additional benefit.
Which I like.
That's what I'm saying is
I liked the fact that you lost the first aid kit.
You actually do waste exactly. You waste that first one because you only got up to the point you started the second one. You only get that amount of healing.
Yeah. I am all
so I think this is now how
I'm all for first aid kits getting wasted if you don't use them properly. Because they have made the game so easy. You've got a compass, you've got a map, you know where everybody is, you've got dots on the screen, bloom, hit indicate. I mean, the game could not be any simpler.
Yeah.
There's got to be something that you learn over time. So, and this was one of these things. I mean, Brian, you and probably most of the people watching this show know how to properly use first aid kits. You don't spam them because you.
But the thing is they changed these, but it used to be that way to where you could stack and it would give you a increased benefit from doing multiples. And they changed these things. They should do a thing that they should do a visual like a X goes through it and it starts it over again, showing you that it canceled the first one. And like they need to let people know because they just changed these things. Oh, now it's operating differently. And unless you go through and read these notes and figure out, okay, wait, we don't have a stack anymore. Okay, so we're not using stack. Okay, then it went to where it was just wasting them and it never actually reset the timer. It just would delete the med kit out of your inventory. Now, okay, at least it restarts the timer. I don't know. I mean, they need to do something that visually tells the people because you're dealing with a lot of people that probably will have no clue what in the world they're doing. They're just clicking things.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Yeah, that's it. That's an interesting thing as well. Like, these are big things that they're changing, by the way. This isn't some like fixed anti-cheat. This is some real deal stuff. This one I think we talked about before. Doors should now always open away from the players who are opening. I think we've talked about that a couple weeks ago. You can now zoom into the map by using the mouse wheel, which is big. Players no longer spawn in with a belt pouch and instead gain the 100 inventory capacity it gave by default. The waste pack now provides 200 capacity, down from 300. The net result is that if you have a military. So they've just changed that. Vehicles now take damage.
If you have a military... So if you
Why
have,
the hell are these in different bullet points? This is confusing.
They hit enter too early. So if you have a military backpack and a waste pack, you have the same amount as before.
Okay, that makes sense. Vehicles now take damage from other nearby vehicles exploding, which they didn't do in the past. In the lobby's friends menu, the red arrow now indicates whether the friend is playing H1Z1 rather than just whether they're actually in the match. So I guess that's kind of just a visual indicator thing. And then the crossbow no longer sways when zoomed in. A whole bunch of bug fixes, and then some things coming soon. The new skirmish mode, which you talked about, the roulette is going to be opening for test play next week, they say. Let's see, a couple of other things in here too.
They adjusted the time
to
be closer to sunset, so I don't know if they're going to be, if they're trying to get some of that kind of a different feel, because right now it's always daytime, right?
Yes.
I mean, the feel is always the same. So I think they said they're going to be adjusting the time in this new, I think it's in the new skirmish, so that it has a little bit different feel when you play that skirmish versus the regular map.
And then some known issues: pistols are spawning approximately twice as frequently as they did, which is obviously an issue. I mean, nobody really uses the pistol, so it's not a big deal. And then teammate icons can flicker when auto running with the map open. So overall, some big things added, some things coming soon. That's King of the Kill. Now we do also have we do have a test update for Just Survive. This was on the 14th. This would have been last Thursday. Now they say this is the first of several test updates we publish before these features go to live. Now, if you've been out of the loop, maybe you haven't listened to the show in a while, they have pushed the test server that we played with the new base building thing to live, and they changed the name of the game. So if you've been out of the loop on that, they're pretty much starting from scratch on Just Survive. And with that, there's
not the same game you played a year ago.
No, it's not. Totally different. The visual effects and the sound effects for the metal stronghold component destructions are placeholders as of right now. Same thing with the metal barricade destructions, placeholder. Icons for metal stronghold components are placeholder. Metal barricade collision meshes are out of date, and then zombies can now pass through metal gateways, and only metal gateways. So that was an issue. The zombies would not come through gates. They can actually do that now. So that's a big thing. And then there's just a whole bunch of things that they've added. In case in point, the metal stronghold components. So now we've got the 3 tiers. We've got the wood. They added stone a few weeks ago. Now we've got.
So
I'm sorry.
They got wood, the metal, and now they're going still have to do concrete.
Yes, concrete. You're right. I screwed this up last time too. So now the second tier of base building system is going to be in the test server, and that is metal. So they've added the metal stronghold components, the metal barricade. They added dynamite, which we saw last week or the week
raid
before.
Resistant.
Yeah. Yes, and then with that, they've added dynamite in the dynamite bundle, which will hopefully be able to destroy the metal and then the concrete in the future. And then they've also added a pipe bomb too. So essentially 3 new explosive devices: single dynamite, a bundle of dynamite, and then a pipe bomb. And you'll be able to craft.
And I like the fact that this is kind of leaving how King of the Kill is. Like,
yeah,
they're finally doing enough to make it to where you don't see the exact same things between the 2 games anymore.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they've been adding the different visual differences, the different. I think getting all the different skins. I wonder if at some point, if it takes off and they start getting players back, if they'll redo all those original skins to make it so it just visually is nothing like King of the Kill.
Perhaps.
So I think that's their goal, is to kind of get away from it.
I don't. Again, I've said this multiple times now. I sound like a broken record. I am convinced that if they go through with their promises on Just Survive, that it can be a legit contender in the survival game industry, because the concept is kick-ass, really kick-ass. If they can just implement it and it works and it's consistent and people like playing it, which they will.
And it'll run on any computer practically.
Yeah. I mean, even the little bit we played on that stupid test server, it was a lot of fun. We had a blast building that stupid base. I mean, it was fun. So, stuff like that is important. So, plus, a whole bunch of other stuff in here. Go ahead and read it. It's a test server update. We'll cover it when it goes to live. So that's H1Z1.
Very good. Do we want to do you want to do the Rust video really quick, and then we can see some of the stuff?
Let's do the Rust.
Some opinion stuff that we talk later.
Let's do the Rust video. I want to cover this quickly before we do the Rust video. This is a game, and this was tweeted to us by UGX Vibe, and then it was sent in Discord by PH and a couple of other people as well. This is first of all, Brian, before we go into this is a game that is being built on the Spatial OS tech. You've talked about this in the past. Can you just quickly recap what Spatial OS is and why because we've talked about it a couple times. Why is it so important to the kind of games we talk about?
So this is kind of a cloud-based technology for allowing a lot of players on one map. Because that's the thing you run into when you have a server, let's say with Ark or any of these games where you host a server, the more players you get, the more information you have to be sending back and forth to the server, and there kind of becomes a limit that you can reach. You may be limited by the CPU because of it. You may be limited by the bandwidth to the server. So they have this cloud-based system that allows you to have a lot more people in a smaller area. So what they're going to be doing, using this to hopefully get 400 concurrent players on this map. Now there's not really been any games that I've seen that have used the Spatial OS that have a lot of players that are really released yet. I'm trying to remember, there are some that are out there, but none that have a lot of players in one small area that I've seen yet. So I haven't really seen it in practice.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Did we see a couple games at PAX that were promoting using this?
They were talking about it, but they hadn't released yet. So that's the issue.
Gotcha.
Is I haven't really seen anything that has like let's say 100 players in one small area that are using this. So everybody keeps saying that we're going to. So it takes multiple servers and it groups them together. It lets them work together as one, so that they can get a lot more performance. One thing if we want, we can talk about this in a bit, but like Wild West Online, I think is talking about using this, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
There's just different, maybe it wasn't that one. But yeah, this game is talking about it. That one game that we did that interview for, that just was a crazy game, Valyria.
Yes, yes, you
Chronicles of Valyria.
Chronicles of Valyria. Yes. Damn, that was good.
Yes. Yeah, so I mean,
you just pulled that. Yeah, you just pulled that one right out.
And so games like that, those have a lot of players, and they're kind of pushing the boundaries. Worlds Adrift is another one that right now uses it, but as I said, there's not a lot of players in one small area. It allows you to do that, but I've only seen like 5 people running around each other. But the thing is Worlds Adrift has huge worlds to where there's a lot of people playing on one map, but it's not everybody at once. So that'll be interesting to see how they pull that off, seeing a bunch of people in one little small area. So yeah, Chronicles of Valyria. I pulled up a list here, and I'm looking at see if there's any other games that you would even have heard about. And there's none that are anywhere near. They're just all concepts.
Yeah. So this will be
Chronicles
interesting.
Of Valyria is only one other one we've talked about before.
There's not a name for the game. The company's name is it Automation? There's no I. Automaton. The Automaton. I don't know how to pronounce the name of this company, but they're developing a PvP arena combat game. And again, it's not really survival, but it's similar to Battlegrounds. The screenshots make it look like it's a survival game. It's got in this picture broken down cars.
Dead people and a shotgun laying there. So
yeah, I mean it's got something's going on here. This is just some clickbait concept art. I'm not really sure, but nevertheless a game that a couple people are talking about. It's going to have a huge map, 144 squared meters, and it's a 12 by 12 kilometer map. And PUBG's map, which is I think a good size map, is only 8 by 8. So it's also it's going to have character progressions and social hubs.
That's why they do this spatial OS. It's because they can take these huge maps and kind of piece things together, and not everything is running on one server at one time. It is running on CryEngine, which we've seen the network issues with Miscreated. I don't know if that's something that's changed. I don't know if they've done kind of like what Miscreated has done and totally reworked everything. For this to be on Spatial OS, I don't know if this is going to be an Amazon thing. PH and I were talking in Discord about this. Does this work with Amazon's
Lumberyard
cloud hosting? But the thing is, a Spatial OS, maybe it would be compatible because you could use it with Amazon servers. I just don't know. I'm just surprised that they're using CryEngine, which is so poor with networked games with a lot of players, and then they're trying to do 400 on one map. So that'll be interesting. It says it will support 1,000 concurrent players within a shared world, right?
It's an MMO.
However, we'll also include a last person standing PUBG-like arena, which will support up to 400 players in direct combat.
Yeah, so it's going to be an MMO. It looks kind of survivalish, at least from the screenshots. There's no name. We've got nothing except the name of the company. And they say it's due at some point in 2018, and they're hoping they could have something playable by spring. So this is something obviously we won't hear anything about, for in the next few months. But going beyond that, hopefully we'll have a title, a name, and then this Spatial OS thing looks really cool.
I'm just waiting to see something.
Exactly.
Actually, I mean,
oh wow, I've got this really cool engine, but no cars. The engine's not in any cars. What the hell's the use for it? It's just it's a block.
I mean, Worlds of Drift is the first one that was released that's actually using it, but those are worlds that are. It's kind of like saying, let's say, Elite Dangerous. Let's say they used it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they could use it and say they use it, but you wouldn't really notice the difference. I mean, that's a very similar thing with Worlds of Drift. There's all these worlds that are so far apart from each other that you don't really ever see each other. Well, okay, Spatial OS allows you to have the opportunity to possibly see each other, but you probably never will.
Exactly.
It's just patching a lot of things together. The one that these guys are talking about is actually bringing everyone together, and I think that's really going to actually test the limits of what it's capable of. And that'll be interesting to see, because we haven't seen anything that's actually tested the limits of Spatial OS to see if it actually works.
Exactly.
And so that's what I want to see.
It's a very good concept. I think it's potentially a revolutionary thing, but if it's not implemented in a way that is meaningful, it's no different than just hosting dedicated servers. So it'll be interesting to see. We'll follow it. Thanks to the people that sent us this this article about this game. Appreciate you bringing it up, and we'll obviously keep our eye on it. And hopefully we can reach out to this team, and if and when they're ready to do some stuff, maybe we could get them on the show for an interview or something like that. So just wanted to bring that up before Rust as one.
Actually, let's do F13 if you're all right with that.
Yeah,
really
let's
quick. Because they actually released a roadmap for Friday the 13th.
Thank God.
So in this, if you look at it, there's actually somewhat dates when this is going to happen. They're kind of vague about it, but if you look, there's a jack-o'-lantern, which means Halloween, I would assume. And then there is a piece of like a snowflake, which I would assume means Christmas. Now, remember, they put dates out there before, and they said, well,
Release
technically
date.
This means, so it could be, that could be a jack-o'-lantern for Thanksgiving. I mean, who knows?
For Easter, maybe.
And this is an Easter snowflake.
4th of July. What the hell? Who cares?
It could mean anything at that point. So hopefully he doesn't have a new meaning for some of these. But it shows that you are here. So they're going to be doing a free emote pack next. Then they're doing that spring break 1984 clothing pack that we showed. They have the part 4 Jason that we've talked about before. And then that Jarvis house map, which is the part 4 map, building they're basing on. Then they're going to be adding some new counselors, new kills, and then new clothing. And then that puts them to what should be Halloween. So
Halloween is much closer than
a month and a couple of weeks. Yeah.
A month and like a couple days. But it's the 19th. I mean, Halloween is right around the corner. So you're talking about
it's less than a month and a half away.
You're talking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 updates.
When what they've done since launch is 3 so far.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, that's nothing that's Friday the 13th. That's a lot of stuff to cram into a short period of time. I mean, Halloween is literally right around the corner. People have got Halloween decorations up. Like, it's here. We're on October next week. Excuse me, not next. Well, next 2 Mondays.
A week and a half, 2 weeks.
About a week and a half.
A little over a week and a half. It's going to be October.
Yeah, exactly. So we're very quickly approaching that deadline. I'm hoping they can PHS Halloween 2018. I'm sorry, it's just too hard. It's just such an easy shot to take.
Maybe the Jack-o'-lantern is PAX East, and then the one is PAX West.
Where the snowflake. I see myself in the mouth of the pumpkin for PAX East.
Yes.
So my whole point is this is a lot of stuff to cram into a short period of time. I'm hoping that they can do all this stuff, but it's a lot of stuff. So you know what, Brian? Put this in your notebook. If they get all of this stuff done, and you better download this picture to your computer because this is a static image. This is a dynamic image that could change. Put this in your notes. We can no longer bash Friday the 13th and make a joke of them if they do this stuff by Halloween. Okay.
If they actually do this. So we're just doing the Halloween day.
Yeah. Let's get to Halloween. Because if they don't get to Halloween, then the whole thing's out the window anyway. So, and here's the thing.
If they meet their Halloween
I'll give them this.
Goal.
I'll give them this. If they get to new kills by Halloween, I'll shut up. That would be 6 major things.
So just short of the new clothing.
Yeah, just short of new clothing. You'll give them a one thing on each side.
Okay.
And Brian's going to put it in the book. We can reference it. So if they get to new kills, when is Halloween? I don't even know.
October 31st.
Is that what it is?
Every year.
I don't know. I don't follow holidays. So by October 31st, if they are at new kills, it's got to be in. New kills has to be.
They got to be done. It's got to be implemented before Halloween.
Yes, they've got to be done with new kills.
Not just announce it.
No,
the thing is, I'm worried that they're saying we're going to be announcing this before Halloween.
Oh no, it's got to be in the game.
We'll release it whenever.
No, it's got to be in the game. So if new kills are in the game and they are between that and new clothing by Halloween, no more of this mockery. And they can't skip things either. Thanks, PH. No skipping. They've got to go.
Yeah.
And we're going to make
new counselors. Well, we move that out to be with the other new counselors. Now there's 2 new counselors.
2 new counselors.
So there's 1 for each.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. And Firebomb is saying like no more laughing or whatever. This is why it's funny. They have not met hardly any of the expectations they've set by themselves. These are not things that I have made. I have not said your game is going to be releasing on X date and then delay it by a month and a half or early 2017. I never made any of these claims. They put themselves under unrealistic expectations and made themselves look like complete and utter jackasses. They did that themselves. I didn't do any of that. So they did that themselves. So when they release a roadmap like this, where they're saying that they're going to be implementing 7 new things in the next month and like 9 days, I just that doesn't seem realistic to me. Now, if maybe this is the turn of the page, Brian. Maybe this is the turn of the page. It's possible. Maybe I can't even say that with a straight face. I mean, come on. I mean, if they can do this, I'll stop. I'll stop.
They've turned a new leaf and they've totally reversed.
Yeah, I mean, if they can do this, if they can implement these new 7 things And now again, most of these things are probably done. But I have no choice but to give it to them. That'll be a lot of stuff to do in like 5 weeks. You're right. I can't even say it with a straight face now. It's unrealistic. You know what?
So now, okay, so we're going to think October, November. So then they have, 2 more months, about a little less than 2 more months. Then they have 5 more goals beyond that, which are actually way bigger than these ones.
And let me say something else. Brian and we are now experts in this. We have seen this happen multiple times. Between Halloween and Christmas are arguably the most inefficient, ineffective times in game development. Nobody gets anything done because people
for any game developers in the United States.
And it's because
the studios pretty much shut down
come Thanksgiving
because of holidays.
Yeah, I mean, once Thanksgiving hits, and Thanksgiving is obviously between if between Halloween and Christmas, it's all over with. Like literally nothing gets done. So, I mean, you're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things between Halloween and Christmas when we have seen games all over the time. We've just seen the development just kind of slow. And it's not a criticism. It's a slow period in game development.
Yep.
So, and Firebomb is saying, which he is the biggest F-13 apologist, if they don't meet the goals by Halloween, I would say that Gun Media dropped the ball and they are bad developers. So write that down in the book too. Rip out a page and just it's a lot of stuff.
Firebomb promises to say they're bad developers if fail.
Yeah, and they're not bad developers. I just think they're setting themselves up for a lot of stuff in essentially 5 weeks, which is a kind of unrealistic. So, nevertheless, roadmap. It looks cool. It's a cool roadmap. I like aesthetically. It's very pretty. And this is a cool way to visualize.
Well, okay, so yeah, it is. I mean, they definitely put it out there. Now, after Halloween, they said they're going to do Virtual Cabin 2.0.
Yep.
Do you know what that means?
No. There's not a Virtual Cabin 1.0 to my current knowledge, but I could be out of date.
Yeah, and then offline bots, so you allow you to do a single player mode.
Mm-hmm.
Then single player challenges demo. So now they're not saying it's going to be done, but they're going to do a demo of it before Christmas.
Okay.
They'll have new counselors before Christmas, another set. So this is the second set of new counselors, and then a new map, which I don't know what that means. This is different. The Jarvis house is the one that we kind of showed the picture from before. So this will be a whole new map outside of everything else. So, and I haven't seen them hint at what that's going to be.
Now, and the other thing too, and I don't want to be a critic on this, but it says new counselors, plural with an S, and the image has 3 people.
One each.
So if they put one counselor in, they're lying. That's not what they did. New counselors, and there's 3 people. I'm not saying it needs to be 3, but it has to be at least 2. One person does not fit the need. New counselors. That's a new counselor. Yeah. So, there you go.
So again, so Firebomb, he linked a video, and that Virtual Cabin 2.0 is a first-person thing for fans of Friday the 13th. So it just has
that's okay.
Pretty much where you can go see all the different Jasons.
And that's what this game is for. This game is for the super fans of the F-13 series. So I'm perfectly okay with that.
It's pretty much a Friday the 13th, like a museum.
I think that's really cool. I think
where they can go see all the things and it's just experience it. So.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yep. And then they're doing new Jason after Christmas, new clothing after Christmas, which I don't know why they're just not adding more new clothes. I mean, they're adding one right before Halloween, which will maybe be kind of a Halloween costumes, because I think there's
that would be awesome.
Some stuff in the movies for that. So yeah, the new clothing, new game mode, which I don't know what that's going to be. Then the actual single player challenges that they were demoing before. And then another new Jason, and then another new map to end it all.
Now, I will give them credit for this. They appear to, at least on the surface, have an idea of what they want to accomplish. When they say new Jason, they know what kind of Jason they want to base it off of. Exactly. And again, this is what's so important, and I'm learning this now in my new role at this company, because I have some of, I don't know, I wouldn't call it an administrative role, but part of decision making and stuff like that. If you don't have clear objectives, you get nothing done. And we've seen game after game after game where they just don't know. H1Z1 case in point, they don't know what the hell they want to do. So they do work, waste of time, waste of money, waste of resources, flip it over, erase it, new thing again, no clear concept, no clear path, no clear journey. And it's just like, it's just a waste. At least with this, I can look at this map and say, Brian, let's say they do 70% of what they have on here. They followed their roadmap. They followed the objective. If they do, there's 7 things in this. If they do 5 out of the 7, I would say that's a mission accomplished. They're following the scope of the game. If they can do some of that, 70 to 80% of this thing, I think I'm content. They at least know the vision and they know where they want to go.
That thing though is they put a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah.
To squeeze in, and so one delay can knock everything, all the rest of these out.
Yeah,
and
especially
so
a delay on something early,
concern.
like a delay on the new Jason before Halloween. Nothing else gets done. So we'll keep an eye out, but of course Friday the 13th. It's fun to poke fun at them, but nevertheless, so
hopefully this is a new.
Yeah, I'm hoping it is because we've seen. I mean, it's not like I'm just criticizing the meta for no reason. I mean, anybody with half a brain that followed the development of Friday the 13th saw delay after delay after delay. It's not shocking. It's not surprising. It's not new. And I'm not bashing them for it right now. But they don't earn the right to say, "Oh, well, don't criticize us over something like that." It's ridiculous. So there you go. That's Friday the 13th.
They have to prove something
different
because they've already proved that they have the ability not to do it. Now they got to show us that they do have the ability.
Yes, and I look forward to them doing it. Again, I want nothing. I've actually I didn't pay for this game, but you're
welcome.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. I want nothing but the game to succeed. It's something I talk about. I'm clearly interested. I sat at a PAX panel at 10:30 on a Friday night in Boston. It was freezing. Like I clearly want something from this game. I don't want the game to suck because it affects me. It affects you. It affects people listening to the show. So I want the game to be successful. I want the game to do well, but they have not proven. They don't have the benefit of the doubt like games like Ark do that have been so consistent with stuff. So I'm looking forward to it. I really am. All joking aside. So there you go.
All right. So do you think we should do this final raffle just to be safe?
Skip the Rust video or?
No, I'm saying we can do that. Let's get it rolling first so that people have time to enter in case we fly through the rest of this.
Yes, sir.
All right. So I'm going to open up another one. So this will be another 30 points exclamation point giveaway in chat. And everyone should have enough points to do this. And we're going to be giving away a copy of Dead Age.
Okay.
And so this is a zombies RPG survival strategy simulation game. So Dead Age, I'll put a link to it so you can check it out. And this was actually given to us by Deacon. So
thank you, Deacon.
Our man Stan in chat, which always confused me at first.
Confused me for the longest time. Didn't know who the hell. I thought it was like 3 different people. Alter egos.
And so that's
thanks,
Deacon. So
appreciate it.
Thank you very much for the donation of that. It has mostly positive recent, very positive overall. And it's a zombie RPG survival strategy simulation game.
Yes. And of course, there's ways you can support the show. infectionpodcast.com/support. Our Steam, our PayPal, Amazon, and then our Humble Bundle. And then, of course, we've got the new server, dedicated server thing that we'll wrap back up at the end of the show. So infectionpodcast.com/support or infectionpodcast.com/dedicated. A couple of ways you can support the show, as well as like people are doing, sending us news, sending us articles, sending us games to look at. Doing stuff like that, producing us stuff if you want to do that, even telling us like, hey, you're not on this podcast app. I don't think you understand how important information like that is to Brian and myself. It is arguably more important than anything else that we do, is knowing that our show is available and being heard on these different platforms. Super, super important. So a whole bunch of ways that you can help support us, including the Friday Night Game Night, which we're asking people to, if they want to, for example, Lance came to us today and said he wants to try a game out. I said, give me a Friday that you're available. You will be hosting the game night. You'll be taking control of it and getting everybody on the same server and stuff like that. So a whole bunch of different ways you can do that. infectionpodcast.com. There you go.
Very good.
All right. So we want to go into the Rust.
Go into the Rust video, and then we will. Yep, and then we can go into current players and start wrapping it up.
All right. So we'll cover Rust, and then we'll be back right after this.
Greetings, survivors and friends. Shadowfax here once again with your weekly Rust update, and this episode was supposed to start with me sitting down in a chair with a new face, but sadly being able to sit down in chairs and being given a completely new face were two things that were pulled from this update at the last moment, so you'll just have to wait until next week for that particular spectacle. Doesn't stop me talking about them though, and yes indeed, for a short time yesterday on the staging branch it was possible to mount chairs, which does sound a lot more manly than taking a seat, you have to admit, but as I say, although it's currently disabled to prevent exploits, it should be in next week, and as well as finally fixing the game for everyone will make those weekly board meetings so much easier. It should be possible to use weapons from a seated position too, making roof camping or just sitting on your porch with a shotgun a much more relaxing pastime in the process, but the longer term effects of this feature will also be to help make vehicles a reality in the future. The new player skins were another thing that for a short time were available to gawk at on the staging branch, but again, you'll have to wait until next week for these to hit properly. Mine has changed slightly, as you can see. Still handsome though. Of course, when I say you'll all be getting a new skin, this doesn't mean your bits are being reshuffled, so don't panic. This affects your mugs more than your jugs and makes you more unique and special, just like you are in real life. And oh, when it hits, it's going to be so popular. There were a number of quality of life tweaks this week though, so I'll run you through them now. First of all, tooltips were added to the new weapon and tool info panels, just in case you wondered what tree gather meant or things like that. You really are being spoilt, you know. Also, food and medical items received the info panel treatment, showing all the relevant stats to help make sure you get your 5 a day. Talking of which, there were a couple of changes to foods in that all raw meats will now poison you, the exception of fish, because sashimi. However, they still have a calorific value, so can be used for fishing and baiting wild animals. Burnt food is no longer poisonous. Tell that to my mother, but instead will yield a quarter of the goodness of properly cooked stuff, which is great because now it means I can eat 4 times as much well done steak as before without having to watch my figure. Auto turret tracking range was reduced this week. Once locked on, they used to continue eyeing you suspiciously for an extra 25% further than their actual range. Fortunately, this excess has now been trimmed. Also, a performance-related bug that affected bases with lots of auto turrets was tracked down and fixed, so they shouldn't mess up your experience quite so badly now. The aim cone on the Thompson was reduced to account for the new recoil patterns, something that should have been done before but was missed out for some reason, and not only have vending machines had their health increased by 25%, but when destroyed, they will now take all of their contents with them into the void. The aim of this is to encourage them to be used a bit more widely, and if you really want to steal from one now, you'll have to gain access to the back end. Workshop skins have reverted to no longer downloading during the loading screen. This is thanks to a recent optimization that saw this process move to a separate thread, and so you can now join the game immediately and let them do their thing in the background. Although having said that, if you have a related problem and want to switch back to the way things were, you still can by using Skin Warmup 1 in the console. The combat log, which you can access funnily enough by typing combat log into console, now has an extra column of information which will tell you whether a hit either killed or just wounded a player or entity. You can read all of the thrilling details about this particular change and why it was needed on the dev blog, so I'll let you do that if you don't mind. Graphically, there's a slight resolution upscaling issue that's preventing an upgrade to the latest version of Unity. This is resulting in some anti-aliasing artifacts, causing smaller text to look awful, for instance, and there's not really a lot that can be done until Unity get their finger out and patch it. Something that has been improved though is the lighting and shadowing in-game. Direct light intensity has been reduced and compensated for with higher exposure. Also, ambient lighting saturation was halved to make surfaces less blue when in shadow. A stab was also made at fixing the floating shadows problem, which you can witness in this example. This issue also manifests itself in other ways, such as light leaking onto areas that should be fully in shadow, and as you can see, the fix to this looks a lot better. Also, some effects were added to Bradley's treads this week, which produced dirt and smoke when he trundles over the terrain. Over to works in progress now, and AI nav meshes are almost finished, which is good news because the focus can now shift to NPC behavior. And you may remember last week I mentioned that after the new supermarket and petrol station, attention was going to switch to tarting up the snow biome and creating some more biome specific smallments. The goal is to have handcrafted scenes which would blend perfectly with the procedurally generated terrain, serving both as landmarks and giving players unique and maybe strategic areas to build on. The first of these being worked on is a frozen lake for the snow biome, which will have variants and, as you can see here, could have different things embedded in the ice. Going forward, the icebergs, as I mentioned before, are being reworked to look more authentic and have multiple access points, and you can also expect floating ice sheets that will expand the playable area out into the ocean. Very cool. It's not just going to be the Frozen North that will get a 60-minute makeover, but other biomes could see features such as canyons, sand dunes, plateaus, different rock formations, and marshes. A lot of this is still up in the air, but stay tuned and I'll tell you what I know when I know it. Please support my channel by leaving a like and subscribing. Come and visit me also on Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, and my Steam group. I shall catch you all soon, but in the meantime, keep calm and stay rusty. Cheerio.
All right, and as always, we thank Shadowfrax for the in-depth update, because Brian and I don't play the game, so it makes it very hard for us to read the notes. And
the game drives me crazy.
Yeah, well, we're aware.
I get killed constantly.
So luckily we're able to provide you that video every week, as he does a well-rounded explanation of all of the various updates in the game. So of course you can subscribe to him on YouTube. Shadowfrax, SHADOWFRAX. You can subscribe to him on YouTube and follow Twitter, Steam, Facebook, all the other cool stuff. So,
yep.
All right, where do we go from
Make
here?
sure this week, so game of the week, we will be doing Overwatch.
Yes.
So make sure you get that downloaded, updated, whatever,
installed.
launched,
Yes.
tested before Friday night. So we did that 9 Eastern. And you could probably, if you show up a little bit early, I'm sure
I said
some people will be
9:30
jumping
earlier.
in and playing.
That was a mistake. Is it 9:30 or 9?
Do 9 Eastern.
Okay, that we do. I don't remember.
Yep.
So it's all
Yep.
blurred.
So 9 Eastern, show up to that. And then I'm sure people will be playing a little bit beforehand. So you can go ahead and jump in and get some matches going. And also make sure you check out, we'll have information for if you want to donate to the server fund. We will put all that stuff up on the website. I'll have that up here tonight before you probably hear this if you're listening to it after the fact.
Yes, and quick shout out before we get into our final segments here. We do want to we've raised $50 during the show. Of course, we had the first 50 come in from our good friend Amnon, $20 from Green Man, $25 from Gadlaw, and $5 from Jay Delory. So we appreciate all of it, and if you're capable and willing and able to donate, we would appreciate that. So there it is, infectionpodcast.com/dedicated, and we'll talk about that as the weeks turn and as we work forward with that. So, all right, Brian, I guess do you got anything else before we get into current players, or are we good to go?
Nope, I think we're good to go.
All right, so as I do each and every week, as Brian tries to steal my segment almost every week now with Battlegrounds, I've got to make sure I open his link so I can.
It's hard not to.
So I'll come back to that after we do it, all of my numbers, because I've got a strategy. I don't just make things up. I got a little bit of strategy.
Willy-nilly.
No, not willy-nilly. We don't do that on Infection Podcast. Currently playing King of the Kill, H1Z1 King of the Kill, 19,123. The 24-hour peak, 59,024, with a 7-day of 82,845. Player counts are down, but still, I can't. 82,000 concurrent players is a 7-day average. The people are still playing the game, folks, like it or hate it. Moving on, Ark. More people are playing it than playing Ark, at least for the 7-day. Currently playing this, 34,521. The 24-hour peak, 53,273, with a 7-day peak of 73,862. Rust. Currently playing this, 15,115. The 24-hour peak, 25,319, with a 7-day peak of 36,255. Unturned, some updates. People are still playing it. Just shy of 10,000, 9,464 currently playing that, The 24-hour peak, 18,544, with a 7-day peak of 28,386. The game you've all been waiting for, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. Currently playing this game, 290,415. The 24-hour peak, 1,280,976 is the 24-hour, with a 7-day peak of 1,349,413. Compared to this time a day earlier last week when we were doing the show, they had 1,111,155. So you're, 200,000 players added to this, to the 7-day peak. 1.3 million.
Just in the week.
And that's current players. But before we fully wrap up the segment, here is that number, that 300,000 number in comparison with Steam. There's
Total
14 million people logged into Steam. 1.3 million of the
1/14th of those
are playing PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds.
1 out of every 14 people logged into Steam are playing Battlegrounds.
And this was Sunday,
which is insane.
It's insanity. Yeah. It's sheer insanity. And I mean, I don't. Somebody, excuse me for not remembering the name. Somebody popped into Discord last night when we were playing Ark, and we were talking about Battlegrounds, and he said, I think it's going to go to 2 million. I don't see why it can't. It's gaining 200,000 still a week plus. Yeah. What the hell's going to stop it? Well, God forbid, when they introduce the vaulting, it's going to go through the freaking roof.
I mean, they're at 1/14th of the current Steam logins, right? I mean, there is a limit, but the second that they open it up to consoles,
okay, Brian, we need to
I don't know what point they're going to do. I don't know where the cap is going to be for PC.
Okay, well, let's put it in the book. Do you think, Brian, I'm asking you now and you exclusively, if chat can chime in, will they hit 2 million concurrent players? Yes or no? On PC.
Yes, I think they will, because they're at almost 1.4 million at the moment. I think 2 is obtainable. I don't think 3 is obtainable.
Okay. Well, you and I are both put it in the book. You and I are both in the agreement that 2 million is possible. 2 million before Xmas.
Not free on PC.
No, and we won't ever have the numbers for outside of PC, really. I mean, we'll get screenshots and stuff, maybe from Brandon or from the PlayerUnknown teams, but we really won't have these, weekly.
I don't have the book on my desk, Lance. Sorry, I have it close, but I'm not going to go up and grab it right now. That's why I'm writing them down and I'm going to enter them into the book after.
There you go. So we enter it into our Infection Podcast notebook, because what we do on the show is we just make things up, and it's nice to be able to reference the things that we make up every once in a while. So there you go. Yep. It's not true. I have my book. It's over there in that box.
No, he's saying I lost my book.
Oh.
The thing is, when I do my tests, I can't have anything on my desk, so I have them set off to the side so that, because I have to do tests, like virtual tests.
There you go.
And so they make me show my desk, and I can't have any books with paper in it.
I've got my book, a very nice Newegg book that we got from the nice people at Newegg, who, by the way,
it's a really nice book.
Dope VR setup at PAX East. We just went into this we're like, yeah, you want to try VR? Who played? Did you? You and Lance played, I think. I didn't.
Lance did.
I get motion sick. I don't do VR, but yeah, they were awesome. So shout out to the Newegg people. Not a sponsor of the show. Longtime fans of the show, though.
Yep. I'm sure they listen, according to Lance.
So, long times. Except the reloading. That sucked. All right, Brian, what's going on?
Yep, let's go and we'll just roll into tip of the week. Tip of the week, so we go through either a specific game or a general gaming tip. This week it is going to be on Ark. So this is tip of the week. All right. So in Ark, it can be difficult getting that initial foothold. So those first couple of teams that you do, usually you'll find yourself running in circles, trying to get enough berries and narcos to be able to keep the team knocked out. So one thing I want to encourage people to do is to get a trike early on. They don't have a ridiculous, especially if you get a low level trike, they don't have ridiculous tame times. and you can get a saddle to put on it at level 16. So if you can pretty much work yourself up to level 16, you can use it to gather more than enough narco berries than you'll need to keep the tame knocked out. Because those the trikes are very good at, once you get a saddle on them, you can just walk around, hit bushes with it, and it fills the inventory of the trike with berries. So if you can do that, you'll be able to also find yourself, once you get to the point of being able to make narcotic itself, you'll need a lot of spoiled meat for that. And you'll need to need to be able to go in there and get a lot of narco to be able to craft that. So make sure that you get that trike, and then you'll have to, after that, get something to be able to kill animals to be able to get enough meat to get the spoiled meat. So are you not wanting me to give my next tip, or is that?
Your next tip is wrong. And I've got a better tip than you, Mr. Brian Aldrich. I'll let you read your
How is it
tip.
wrong?
I'll read your tip, and then I'm going to prove you that I have a far superior way to do this. Go ahead.
Okay. So another tip you can do is for getting spoiled meat. If you have your raw meat in there, the timers stack on top of each other. So if you use control and then drag off in the inventory, it will put one per stack. And then this will allow them to spoil all at the same time rather than doing the first one on the stack.
It's a tip-off, as Lance says in the chat. If you right-click on the stack of meat, you can split all, and it just dumps the entire thing into each individual slot.
Oh, does it?
It does. That's a tip of the week.
I didn't see that.
Learned that from my good friend Falcons Watch when playing last night.
Nice.
I win the tip-off.
I didn't even know that existed.
And neither did I.
I was doing control and drag.
Saul was like, God damn it. I've been sitting here for 45 minutes dragging meat over. So right-click.
His meat there. Nice.
Dragging his meat around. Yeah.
You should, okay, we'll enter that in the end so it's on the notes.
That's fine. You can type it in. It's fine.
Well, you're the one who knows how to do it.
Yeah, I do know how to do it. I don't know what the command says. I'll have to look it up. But it's, you right-click on it, and I think there's split's got a little arrow next to it, so you hover over split, and it says like split in half, split in quarters, enter amount, and then split all.
Yeah, I've never even seen that menu option.
And then split all just dumps each one. And I actually did it yesterday because I needed some spoiled meat for Narcos. So
nice.
It's a very
well, that's much better than my control drag method. So they must have a lot of people doing that. And the reason you want to do that is because that timer that you see going down. Okay, so here's another little additional tip on top of that.
It's a big show for tips.
Let's say you've got one stack of meat that's actually really close to spoiling and you're wanting spoiled meat. You can drag a piece of meat that has a lot more time left on it into that stack, and it actually lowers it to the lower time.
Yes, it does.
So that's a quick way to where if you are needing to get meat, then you can split it and then take another fresh one, drag it over, and keep doing that to lower all the timers of your meat to be able to quickly get spoiled meat.
Yes, and it's a very cool thing. The split feature is I really don't know of another. I don't really know of another thing where it would be useful to split all, because it does. I mean, it literally, like if you have a stack of 30, it just throws 30 individual.
It's pretty much just for spoiling things quickly.
Yeah, so it's practically cheap. I would not be surprised if they take it back, because it's very, very OP for spoiled meat, which maybe that was the goal, but who knows?
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's a pretty specific thing. So anyways, that's tip of the week.
And tip of the week. Thank you.
Yeah, there you go. It's a joint tip of the week by Nick and Brian. So
it's fine. You always step on my segments. It's about once I step on yours.
Yeah, no, trying to make me regret it. All right. So do you want to go and do a giveaway here?
Yes, absolutely.
We good? All right. So congratulations. Lance, Landgun 44.
Of course.
Has won a copy of Dead Age, and thank you, Deacon, for donating that copy to us.
Yes, very much.
If you have any other games, let me know. I'm going through kind of a backlog of ones that people gave me, but yeah. So if you do have some, let me know, and when we'll add them to the list.
Absolutely. All right. Well, Friday night we're playing Overwatch. It's free. Everybody can play. Again, goal of game of the week: show up in Discord, hang out, talk to your fellow clans members, guild members, whatever you want to call our group, gamer friends, whatever the hell you want to call us. So you can come in for that. Again, battle.net, you got to create an account, so create that, get it installed, get it updated. It's a pain, I get it, but just do it. we'll be playing Friday night. We'll have a ball, I'm sure, as we always typically do with Overwatch. So, I believe that's about it. Brian, where can people find you on the net?
Yep. If you want to find me on Twitter at Boise Computer, or you're more than welcome to go check out my blog, biteoftech.com. Of course, that's BITE of tech.com. Also, I really encourage you to go to our website, infectionpodcast.com on the right-hand side. Join our Discord group, especially if you're interested in playing some games with us. Really encourage you to, if you're out there and you play games, maybe you have a community that's kind of dying off, or you don't have a lot of people to play with you. I'd really encourage you to come check our group out. We really want to get a lot of people playing, especially once we get this dedicated server, keep a consistent number of people playing a lot of these different games. So I encourage you to come join us if you're into any of these games that we're able to host. And it's just infectionpodcast.com. On the right-hand side, you see a green button that says join server. That'll get you right into our Discord server. And we usually have 60 to 90 people in there. We have about 70 people in there right now. So a lot of good people in there. And it's when you come in, if you could announce, it does have a timer just to prevent spam as far as you being able to talk initially. But after 10 minutes, just announce that you're there, say hi to everybody. Maybe, and of course, Nick will ask you, how'd you find the show?
How'd you get here? Yeah, you didn't just stumble.
Yeah.
You didn't just stumble onto the Discord. How did you get here?
You didn't fall in here. Yep.
Exactly. So, yes. And of course, Brian, check out Brian's appearance on the Rocky Mountain Slackers podcast. Link in the show notes, infectionpodcast.com. If you want a little behind the scenes of Brian, some history behind Brian's technology career, and some behind the scenes stuff of the podcast from our PAX trip and stuff like that, highly recommend you listen to it. It's you did a very good job, Brian. So thanks for the
Thank you very much. It didn't embarrass us too much.
No, that podcast, we do it 2 hours a week. We do plenty of a good job of embarrassing ourselves.
We have plenty of time.
I would love for people
in the 2 hours.
I'm gonna bite myself for saying this, but I would love people to send us clips where we were just flat out wrong, just like completely wrong. If somebody wants to go,
that could be our 200th show. Is just all clips of us making mistakes,
completely wrong. Like, oh, nobody will ever be playing that stupid Battlegrounds game, and I was like, oh, 10.3 million people are currently playing Battlegrounds on PC, or some astronomical number. So, just ridiculousness. We are here live almost every Tuesday. Infectionpodcast.com, our Twitch channel.
If it's not a Tuesday, we're here on a Monday or something.
Yes, or a Wednesday or something like that. So follow us on Twitter to get those notifications at InfectionCast. But we are here live Tuesdays, 7 p.m. Eastern, twitch.tv/Infection Podcast. The show goes up to YouTube later. We're in your podcast feed, your podcast catcher. We're on Twitter at InfectionCast. We're Steam Group, Discord, MySpace, Yelp, everywhere. You can find Infection Podcast listed. So check out all those places. And again, make sure we're on your favorite podcast app, and we're still listed there. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it. Made up for the short show last week, or about 20 minutes over 2 hours. So making up for that, you can follow me on Twitter at Nicholas M. Craig. Of course, check out our website, infectionpodcast.com. My name is Nick Craig. This is Infection Podcast. We'll see you next week.